Grand Rising. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good evening. Whatever the time frame that you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook here. TikTok over here. So welcome everybody to Deconstructing Christianity. I'm your host, Coach Renz, and welcome to our Thursday show, the last show of the week. We go live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12 noon, in around 12 noon to 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we go for it till about 3 o'clock or so. So I want to welcome everybody to the show. This Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's when we go live. So thank you for being here. Now, our conversation today is going to start off, because we know the conversations can change. But we're going to start off the conversation by talking about how did the Bible God evolve to become God? Right? How did the Bible God evolve to become God? And it's a very good question. Before we get started, I want to thank everybody who supports the channel, everybody who are members, subscription holders, everyone who does super chats, gives gifts on TikTok, stars, all that, buys the shirts. I appreciate all of you guys. So thank you very, very much for that. Greatly appreciate it. Just heard some noise out there. There was some construction outside. So anyway, subject of the day. How did the Bible God evolve to become God? Now, as you can see on your screen, and I know that it is easier to see it on TikTok and Facebook. I have to put this picture up here. I mean, Facebook and YouTube, in order for it to be visible. One of the things that we have to realize is, how did this God of the Bible grow to become the God that he is? Is that his original personification? Is that how he started? Now, we can go back and keep going back and keep going back. We can go all the way back to animism. We can come forward to where we realize that this God in the Sumerian and Akkadian would be Enlil. And there's a lot that we can say that this God starts out as Enlil of the Sumerian Akkadian pantheon. Enlil is the one who, in the creation story of the Sumerian, gives the okay for Enki to create man. See, there's and so you can also say he's Enki. It's the Sumerian part is, it's a lot of moving parts, elements taken from each one. But I'll get to why we say Enlil. But we can start out by looking at the Sumerian story. The Sumerian story is going to be a little convoluted, because it is Enki who does the creation of man, and with the permission of Enlil and Anu. It is Enlil who is said to be the administrator over the earth, the ruler of the earth. That's kind of like the God of the Bible. But his father is still Anu, who is the ruler of all. Right? So there are ways we can say that it comes from Enlil. Right? It is Enlil who knew that the world was going to be flooded and didn't want to tell the humans, but it's Enki who goes and tells Utnapishtim, hey man, we're about to flood. So elements of Enlil, elements of Enki come from the Sumerian and Akkadian. But where we can get a more solid movement, and what's closer to the time frame of the invention of Israelites, would be during the Canaanite period. So during the time frame that the Canaanites, which Canaanite is a specific people group, but it is also a reference to a large number of people groups. So like Phoenicia, you could be Phoenicians, you could be, Amorites and Hittites. You're all Canaanites. And then yes, there are specific Canaanites. But what comes out to be Israelites came directly out of Canaanites. No Amorites or anything of that sort. No, straight out of Canaanites. Later on, may have a little mixture of some Shashu people, maybe even a little Hyksos, maybe even a little mixture of that. But they purely come out of but as far as the God is concerned, They come from the Canaanite pantheon. And in that Canaanite pantheon, you had El. El is the primary god. El Elyon, as it is said in the Bible. But you had El. El was the creator God, the one, the God above all gods. He did everything. And El had a wife, a consort. And he had a wife named Asherah. And El and Asherah, they got busy. And El and Asherah had children. They had divine sons. They had their sons. Where's my chart? I lost my chart. Oh, I meant to have this chart up for this part. Sorry, guys. But they had some sons. And of those sons, is this the right one? So their first son was Baal. Baal was considered a storm deity, a war god, hunting, a fertility god. Then they had another son named Yam. He was the sea god. He was over the oceans. He ran things around the ocean. Then they had another son named Mot. Mot was the god of death, god of the underworld. Right. Now, most of the time, some people put Yahweh as a direct son of El and Asherah. But as recent research has demonstrated, for me, recent research has demonstrated, Yahweh actually is more of a grandson or relegated down to other gods. Yahweh becomes a specific storm deity. Yahweh, so where Baal then is changed to just mean a fertility god, a god of storms that revitalize the land, they created a separation between Baal and Yahweh. So Yahweh wasn't even original in this whole scheme. Created a separation where Yahweh now is the God that is associated with mountains, and he's also associated with raging storms, the destructive storms. So Baal kind of gets split into becoming an additional God so that they can understand and have the difference between a nice fertilizing God and the one that brings about the thunderstorms, who lives on a mountain. Now, there are many other gods that the Canaanites had, but they're not important to the conversation right now. So what we see as the development initially of Yahweh is that Yahweh is a derivative of Baal. And that is one of the reasons why so many times in the Bible is always Yahweh versus Baal, Baal versus Yahweh. No longer shall we worship Baal, but we shall worship Yahweh. Because Yahweh is this storm deity. Oh, we got to get rid of Asherah. Excuse me. Now that comes about. So this is what the original people, the Canaanite people, would have been worshiping. Then somewhere around maybe the earliest possible time frame, somewhere around the 14 to 1300s BCE, a little group of people separate themselves from the Canaanite people that was living in the land that we know now as Israel. And they started going out into the mountainside. They was being controlled by Egypt, under Egyptian control. But they go out into the mountains. They go out there where, and if you've ever been to Israel, so you got like, it's hilly at first. I mean, you got some, depending upon where you are, like in Haifa, it starts out, it's kind of hilly, but then you go a little bit and you hit some mountain ranges. And then you get some plateaus, some plains, and then you got some more mountain ranges. But soon off the coastline, which most people would live near the coastline, but as you move from the coastline, it's not too far from that, you get into the mountains. Like you got to go through a little mountain range before you get to Jerusalem. So these Canaanite people now moved out into this mountain range. And so the God of the mountains and the God of storms is Yahweh. So they living out here with Yahweh. They start worshiping Yahweh. Yahweh becomes their primary God. Now, first, Yahweh still got his daddy El, and they still remember El. So they start to change it, and they start to merge Yahweh and El as one deity. So in early Israelite religion, Yahweh starts to become El, eventually becomes El, and Asherah still is his cohort, still is his wife. But but from around that 1200 all the way down till we get to around 700s, early 600s BCE, that's when they change it. They get rid of Asherah. Now El is all by himself. Yahweh is now fully El, and he's all by his lonesome. He doesn't have Asherah as his wife anymore. And we've seen some ancient Israelite temples that demonstrate that they still was worshiping, the northern Israelites were still worshiping Asherah. You see the temple has an Asherah pole where you put the incense, and they have a El pole, a Yahweh pole. So Yahweh now has become El. And as we move into the Babylonian time frame and down into the Persian time frame, he truly now develops into this God above all. He moves away from walking in gardens, move away from having physical bodies. No longer he's the God of the mountain or the God of storms. He is now this ethereal God, not this walking around all day kind of God. And so now he becomes ethereal. He becomes magical. And some of this is probably because they picked this up from the Persians with their understanding of Ahura Mazda and a supreme deity. But then first century come around, first century CE. And in first century CE, you got this movement that gets started called Christianity. And in Christianity, they mix it in and still have a little bit of the Old Testament. So they still got the Father, and they need the Father. They still want to believe that El is the Father, but they need to believe in this Jesus character as well. So Jesus then becomes the Son of God. But then that doesn't mix too well. And for 300 years, there's arguments about it. And then finally, with a slap to the face by Jerome, it's settled. There's a Trinity. There's God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, 3 in 1. And this polytheism thought process becomes a monotheistic thought process, which doesn't work. And then as time goes on over the last almost 2,000 years, but really 1,900 years, over the first 1,900 years, this Trinitarian thought process is perfectly fine. Somewhere in the mid 1900s, though, there started the thought process, and you will not find this anywhere in your Bible, that you are to have a relationship with this God. That the whole purpose is you developing a relationship, you coming into oneness with this God. That's not in your Bible anywhere. That's some 1980s, 1970s, and forward to today bullshit about you having. Actually, no. That shit wasn't really been talked about in the 80s. That's more of like 1990s, late 1990s, early 2000s. All this, you gotta have a relationship. God wants to have a relationship. It's about your relationship with God. Bullshit, because you and God are supposed to be one. And so this whole oneness with you and God has started to be taught. And so now God becomes this embodiment of you and your being, and you supposed to be God. So in that short version right there, we see that God, the Yahweh, the God that people believe in today, and this is one of the reasons why I had to deconstruct from the Bible. I had to walk away from this nonsense, because the God that people believe in today has had many different character changes. He's I was taught that he was just the one God. And then I was taught it was the Trinity. And then I look back and I see that his name was El, and that then I saw that he had a wife. He got rid of his wife. I like saying wife that way, but got rid of his wife. And that before that, he had a daddy and a mama. Well, and before that, he used to be unified with a dude named Baal. And then before that, he had a mama and a daddy named El and Asherah. And before that, he was a split personality of Enki and Enlil. It's just a whole clusterfuck of a story that most people who believe in this God never, ever reads and never comes to the understanding of it. And most will never accept it. Most of them will never accept that their God, Yahweh, is a split from Baal, who is the son of El and Asherah. And then Yahweh becomes El, still married to Asherah, his mama. And then Asherah is taken away. And then he's all alone for a little bit until some Christians come up and create a bullshit Trinity that people are supposed to have a relationship with. And the only evidence or proof or things that they will look at is whatever their Bible says. My Bible says that God is one. My Bible says that God is the only God. Well, your God got his ass whooped by Shamash. He got his ass whooped by Shamash. And then the Bible shows that the Bible itself believes in other gods' existence, that Baal exists, that and Moloch does not exist, y'all. People can stop saying that. The Moloch is a ritual sacrifice. It is a form of sacrifice in the Canaanite religion. It is not a god. But this God is schizophrenic at best. And as we see, we got Rupert up here saying that Baal is a pagan god and has nothing to do with Yahweh, which shows that he has not done any research into ancient cultures of the Canaanite pantheon, because Baal was originally the storm god, the only storm deity. And then aspects of Baal were separated into Yahweh being the bad storm deity and Baal being the good fertile storm deity. And and Yahweh is just a derivative of Baal. And Baal comes from El and Asherah. That's his parents. But like I said, I don't expect people to go and research these things. They're gonna stick with it. Baal is Yahweh's brother, but before earlier and later, in the older Canaanite tradition, Yahweh first didn't exist until they split Yahweh from Baal, because Baal was over all storms, and he was and hunting and whatnot. Then they separated when they had a mountain god. They had God that was over the mountains and the God of destructive forces, and that's when Yahweh comes into the picture. So it's like Yahweh took some of the attributes of Baal so that they can separate the storm. Because remember, Baal is also a fertility god. The storms that bring fertility, nice rain. And then you had a destructive storm. So like this ice fucking winter that we about to get here in Texas, that's some Yahweh shit. That's not Baal shit. Baal is this nice 71 degrees that we got today here in San Antonio. Nice weather, little rain, nice. Yahweh is that Arctic blast bullshit that's about to hit us on tomorrow. I ain't moved to Texas for this cold weather. But so that would be the difference between Baal and Yahweh. It really, they just split them. They needed to differentiate between those storms that are helpful to the people and the storms that are not. And this is not an uncommon thing in ancient civilizations. especially for a group that's going to go out from the coastal areas and go live out in the mountains, for them to create their own version of a God, or for there to be just a whole nother version of a God. Let me get the we're gonna open the doors of the church early today. Let me put the invite out here real quick. Yep, you're absolutely right. That's what I'm saying. Yahweh sends locusts to remember that. Exactly. So when you're having good weather, all praises to Baal. And this is the true statement, if I can get it up there. The ancient people were trying to understand the world with their limited knowledge of the times. Exactly. And that's why I don't fault the people back then. I never fault the ancient people for thinking that, oh, it's a storm coming. We don't know how the storm clouds form. We don't know anything about weather patterns. So, we're gonna make up a God. I usually don't fault them for that. That's, hey, what else would they have known? It's not like they had satellites. It's not like they, it takes time to develop all that. I'm not arrogant to the fact that I wouldn't be arrogant to the fact that we are standing on the shoulders of generation after generation after generation of learning from the previous generation. The younger, maybe there was more information or more of a greater scientific community around 50,000 BCE, but that last ice age just tore that up, and then the Younger Dryas flood. So, but maybe there wasn't. Maybe there wasn't people, and they left, and they said, well, all these Neanderthals and Homo erectus and all that, we ain't taking none of them. They just really just the same. They're no different than any other beast of the land. Not realizing that we would evolve into what we are today. Who knows? Possibility. Saw a Star Trek episode about it. Saw a Star Trek episode. Did that exact same storyline. Look at this, Rupert's. It's funny. This is just funny to me. Baal is a pagan mythological being created by Canaanites, not a real being. Hell, Yahweh is not a real being either. Yahweh is a created being by the Canaanites. Baal was a major ancient Near Eastern deity, particularly prominent in the Canaanite and Phoenicians culture, meaning Lord or Master, often representing a powerful storm and fertility god. Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Rupert. And so is Yahweh, a Canaanite deity that was created that represents mountains and disastrous storms. That's the one thing that's funny to me. A person like Rupert has demonstrated that he goes and he can look up some stuff. He's smart enough, and sometimes we agree on things. So I know he's intelligent enough to know that the same thing he just said about Baal is the same thing about Yahweh. Yahweh is known as a storm deity, not only to the Canaanites, but to the Shashu people as well. He was a Canaanite deity of the mountains and the storms, but yet from the same pantheon, one is mythological and the other one is real. Come on, man. Come on. Yahweh is a Canaanite deity. And he says that Canaanites didn't create it. Yahweh was before the Canaanites. Who created the Canaanites? Because before there was no Israelites before Canaanites. So you're going to run into that problem. There were no Israelites before Canaanites. So now you got a whole nother conundrum there. So how you gonna fix that? How you gonna fix that? Because there's no Canaanites. There was no Israelites before Canaanites. You see how that don't work? See, you paint yourself in a corner when you try to do that. Instead of just accepting the information that is the real information. When you try to force something, that's when you get painted into a corner and you start looking, it don't look right. We all waiting on an explanation. If the Israelites came from the Canaanites, then how could there have been a Yahweh before the Canaanites? Because there was no Israelites before the Canaanites. Even your Christian apologists know that. Oh, he's so silent I can light my cigar. Mm-hmm. 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 Adam is the earthly father of the Israelites. Okay. I know your story tells you that, but let's look at your story. Adam never claimed to be an Israelite. The Israelite lineage supposedly goes through Seth. Seth, not an Israelite. Seth, you follow that lineage to Noah, not an Israelite. They supposedly have a bunch of children. He got kids. Kids recreate the whole world. We go through Shem. Shem never claims to be an Israelite. Shem has a lineage. You finally get to Abraham. Abraham is from the city of Ur. Ur in Chaldea is a Sumerian city. At the time frame that Abraham would have been around, he was a Sumerian city. He's a Sumerian. But he's coming out of a Sumerian city. But the problem is at that time frame that you will place Abraham, right? The time frame he would be more Akkadian, but then he goes and lives with the Canaanites in the Canaanite region. So even if you were saying that they were not Canaanites, then you have to say they were Sumerians. And in the Sumerian pantheon, El and Enki are a composite of what Yahweh also is because of the storyline. There's no way to shake it. There is there is no Yahweh in the in the Akkadian or the Sumerian pantheon. So we have no Yahweh. Abraham would not have learned about Yahweh until he moved and went to live amongst the Canaanites, who had Yahweh. You see how it don't work? All that Adam and Noah, and we know the Noah's flood story never happened. We know Abraham never existed. But even if you allow for Abraham comes out of the Sumerian cities worshiping Enki, Anu, Enlil. And then when he goes to the Canaanite territory, that's when he learns of Yahweh. Who was with the Canaanites? So he went, and your Bible admits that he was with the Canaanites. Even if you look at your Adam story, where is the Garden of Eden? The garden is east of Eden in Chaldea, which in 6,600 BCE would have been in Mesopotamia. That would have been a Sumerian city or a Sumerian Akkadian city. They would have been Sumerian Akkadian. So still no Yahweh. You don't get Yahweh until you get the Canaanites. You see how the math don't math, and so they just accept stuff. They just accept stuff. You got to dig deeper, Rupert. I know you can. I know you can. And I know you can think more critically of it. You just go, oh, Adam, Eve, and all the way up to Seth, and then to Noah, then to Abraham, and they were worshiping God, Yahweh, before then. No, they weren't. And I believe that created a contradiction. Isn't it somebody who said somewhere in the Bible it says that Abraham and all them jokers didn't know his God's name, but then he called them, but then in the story of Abraham, them, he called them by that name. But Abraham didn't. Abraham was separated and brought to the Canaanite land to worship Yahweh. Ain't that something? And yes, of course, Abraham never existed, so it's all just a bunch of who. But I really want Rupert to think about that for a second. Think about it, Rupert. If Abraham was with the Sumerians, there was no Yahweh in that canon. Eden was east of Chaldea, Sumerian Arcadian. No Yahweh. That's Enki and Enlil. Come on, man. You don't get Yahweh until the Canaanites. Until the Canaanite pantheon is developed, which the Canaanite pantheon does develop out of, for the most part, the Sumerians. And especially since they were conquered by the Sumerians for quite a while. And then the Assyrians and the Egyptians. So it does have a mixture of kind of like a Sumerian, Akkadian, Egyptian kind of motif going on. What? My man Isaac. Oh, I gotta call you, Isaac. I got a question for you. I just thought about something. And I, Genesis 17:8, RSV. And I will give to you and your descendants after you the land of your sojourning, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. I will be their God. Abraham walking around with the Canaanites. So I don't see how a person of any level of right, intelligent mind cannot see that this God started out as a lowly God named Yahweh. Storm deity, terrible storms, mountains. This is why, the whole story is always associated with mountains. But there are many pantheons where the mountain gods they really worship. But the storm deity is a mountain. Because of that, he grows, becomes more popular with the Israelite people. And all of a sudden he walk around and he got fire and all these sorts of things. But it's not surprising that mountain gods don't become popular. Anywhere where there were mountains, people always made the mountain god popular. There are some theories that the reason why ziggurats and the pyramids are built is because the gods are always referred to being on the mountains and all that sort of thing. So build a pyramid, build an earthen mound, get closer to the god. Come on, this is the mentality that I can't quite understand. If Abraham did exist, you mean didn't exist, I think is what you mean. How did we get to Isaac, Jacob, Israel, to Haile Selassie and the crown? So, okay, the Rastafari kill me with this one. Haile Selassie has zero evidence to demonstrate that he comes from Judah or is an Israelite. He usurped the story of Menelik the first, Menelik the second, and Menelik the first, claiming then to be from Solomon, then of the house of David, so that he can go on this whole little bullshit road. But Haile Selassie provided nothing. He was a head of state, and just like we see in today's world, heads of state just make claims and people just go with it. And what were they going to do? What were they going to do back when Haile Selassie was running around? Well, nobody going to do nothing. We didn't have the internet. Nobody going to fact check him. But his ass is fact checked now. There ain't nothing. And Haile Selassie there's no evidence of him being attached to any Jews. We can go and look at the archaeology. There was no Judaism, according to the Bible. According to the Bible, the little Ethiopian eunuch came in Acts. But then there's no evidence of Christianity in Ethiopia prior to Frumentius, right? There's no evidence, zero. Queen Candace goes up with Solomon and it comes back and there's Judaism in Egypt. I mean, in Ethiopia. Yet there's no damn evidence that the Oxium, the Sabians, the Demit, that none of those groups of people that would eventually become part of the Axiom Empire ever had Judaism was a practice. But Haile Selassie says so. Haile Selassie said it. So we believe it. Now, there's some good messaging in his little stuff. I saw One Love. I was a big Bob Marley fan. A lot of good, peaceful messaging, but dude, Haile Selassie was just a dude who saw an opportunity to gain some power, and y'all still following and still believing it. Well, I am from the bloodline of Shaka, king of the Zulus. And all of you should follow me as we reclaim our land. We will start in Namibia, make our way to South Africa, and reclaim the Zulu kingdom, because I am a descendant of Shaka, king of the Zulus, true king of South Africa. That's pretty much what Haile Selassie did. And everybody else who always like, oh, I know my ancestry, and I come from kings, and I come from royalty. It's always amazed me how every goddamn body come from royalty. Everybody come from a king. Come from a butcher. My great granddaddy was a butcher in Africa. Or they gotta be, my African grandfather was a warrior. Now you might get some of that, because a lot of them were POWs from fighting wars. That don't make them great. Coach Rains, speak on the Ethiopian shit if you can work it into the show. Like a big gift for me. I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter. I mean, that kind of goes with the Haile Selassie thing. There it was absolutely zero. So church tradition says that Mark went down into Ethiopia to teach Christianity. They give Mark claim for going to Egypt and going into Ethiopia. Now, there's absolutely there was Christianity in first century that made it to Egypt, because Egypt was part of the Roman Empire. So anywhere within the Roman Empire, Christianity had the ability to spread. But beyond that, Christianity had no opportunity and doesn't show any opportunity of going into Ethiopia. They say Luke writes that an Ethiopian, Rupert happened to put it up. Luke writes in Acts that there was an Ethiopian eunuch, had great authority under the Candace, queen of Ethiopians, who had charge of all her treasures and had come to Jerusalem to worship and return. Now, you got to understand, the word Ethiopia doesn't mean in biblical times, the word Ethiopia was anywhere in southern Egypt, from like south of the Nile Delta. So south of the Nile Delta, all of that was considered Ethiopia, which is a Greek term. First of all, understand it's a Greek term. They considered, so that was the people of Sudan, Ethiopia, the people of North Sudan, Ethiopia, the people of Rwanda, Ethiopia. All of them are Ethiopians as far as they're concerned, right? Because Ethiopia just meant burnt face. It wasn't an identification of a nation, because in first century, if it was actually a man of Ethiopia, it would say a man of Axium. If you wanted to tie it in, if you wanted to tie Acts 8 into what we know today as Ethiopia, the Bible would have said a man under the authority of Candace, queen of Axiom. That's what it should have said, not Ethiopia, because Ethiopia wasn't a country, my guy. So it shows that the Greeks didn't know what the hell they were talking about. The Greek writer who wrote Acts, which is supposedly Luke, didn't know what the hell he was talking about and didn't understand the world map of the day and world politics of the day outside of the Roman Empire. Now, here's the other part. So that could just explain going into Egypt or some small town or whatever, but it is not the Ethiopia that has the Ethiopian Bible that's written in Ge'ez. So, which archaeological evidence demonstrate that in first century, in second century, in third century, the people of the Axiom Empire were polytheistic. At the religion, because it's saying that the queen converted over. Now, what happens when a king or a queen converts over to a religion? What happens to the rest of, or the majority of that nation? They convert over, because the other elites are going to do and going to convert over as well. At least the majority of them. So they convert over. In 330, when King Ezana converted to Christianity after being taught by Frumentius, who was a Syrian, the country started converting to Christianity, was declared a Christian nation. If this eunuch had came back to the Candace, and Candace is, by the way, is a title, but had came back to the Candace and converted her over, then Ethiopia would have been Christian in first century, but it wasn't. It wasn't. And so that whole thing that's written in Acts is most likely referring to how Christianity has spread into Egypt, but Luke didn't know how to fully express it. And so he fucked it up. He messed it up. Matter of fact, I'm going to try something on a whim here. Let me look something up real quick. Let me see. And if I'm wrong, whatever the answer is, I'm gonna tell you. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna tell you. All right. Let's see if it tells us. In the first century CE, the kingdom of Axiom, located in modern-day Ethiopia and Eritrea, likely had a confederacy of local kings ruled by a king of kings, through specific rulers are not well documented until later, with its powerful growing as a major trade empire linked to the Red Sea and the Arabian Peninsula. While King Ezana ruled much later in the 4th century, the early Aksumite period of 150 to 150 BCE to 150 AD saw a emergence of these distinct level kingdoms that formed the basis of their larger empire. So we don't even have a female queen who running shit. We got kings and kings of kings, and there's no centralized. In first century, it was pretty much run somewhat like the Roman. Sounds like it was run kind of like how the Roman Empire, just a bunch of provinces linked together by a single king, but we don't know who that king was for the Axiom Empire. So then your whole thought process on this unit going down and talking to coming down and converting over this queen is just Luke writing some bullshit. And it doesn't establish Christianity. So in until the 4th century, before 350, the Oxymite was polytheistic, had no belief in Jesus at all. So Acts 8 is just a bunch of bullshit at the end of the day. And I just looked, asked the question, looked it up. Didn't not my own thought process, nothing like that. Just went and just looked it up. That they were not practicing no Abrahamic religion prior to 350. Before that, they were straight up polytheistic. And matter of fact, let me look up what was they in this part here. Where is that religious part at? Right now. Yep, they were polytheistic. They worship, that's right, Astar. They had the sky deity Astar. They had the lunar god Hawabas. They had Al Maqwa. Yeah, I'm messing up these names. Yeah, that's not Semitic at all. I mean, that's not an Abrahamic religion at all. There's no Abrahamic religions in there. Can y'all hear that saw outside? I don't know if y'all can hear that. I can hear it. So now, the big thing that people always like to talk about when it comes to the Ethiopians, if they didn't learn Christianity until 330, Dalius, I didn't see what if you wrote something earlier. Let me see if you wrote something, or you said this was Ethiopia, correct? But yeah, Axiom Empire is Ethiopia, modern day Ethiopia. See, the problem with people who believe in the Bible is that if the Bible says it, then that's what it is, irregardless of what history shows. The problem with people who are the black people who are, it's like, oh, Ethiopia got the oldest Bible, that's the right Bible. The white man came and took and stole the other Bible. When Frumentius came to Axiom in 330, started and befriended King Azana, Frumentius was a Syrian. He brought all the scrolls that he had. Obviously, the scrolls that he had were all the ones that winds up being in the Ethiopian canon. Even though the Council of Nicaea has happened, and this is why I always warn people when they say, oh, the Council of Nicaea decided what books were going to be in the Bible. No, it didn't. But one of the things it did do is that it established Athanasius, who became Bishop of Alexandria in Egypt. And Athanasius, for the next 25, 30 years, in his letter to the Christians, he would tell them what day they would worship, they would do Easter on, and then he would list what books he thought should be in the canon. And it's not until like 360, 370 that the Bible is canonized for what we have of a Bible today. So the Ethiopians already had their canon, and they were not part of the Roman Empire, so they didn't have to submit to Roman Christianity in 381 when Theodosius made Christianity the religion of Rome. So they never had to submit to Rome. Now, the earliest copy of this Ge'ez Bible is in the 1500s. So the Codex Sinaiticus is older than that. The Septuagint older than that. The Codex Valentinus older than that. So there are older copies of the whole New Testament from the Orthodox canon that are older than the Ethiopian Bible. But because people want to believe what they want to believe, they just accept bullshit. Are we saying 1511? But they just believe whatever they want to. They're going to believe what this Bible say. Oh, yeah. Sheba came up there, and so she took Judaism back. You don't even know where the fuck Sheba was from. To be honest, some think that Sheba was from Yemen, which is on the Saudi Peninsula. Some think she's from Oman, which is on the Saudi Peninsula. Some think that she is from Saudi Arabia. And then there are those who think she's from Ethiopia. They don't even know what this in Songs of Solomon this Sheba is from. Which is where this whole story that Haile Selassie, utilized to trick you motherfuckers into thinking that he's some kind of son of God. But people just accept it. Oh, and then the eunuch went and told Candace, and she went back to Ethiopia. There was no place called Ethiopia. Ethiopia was a big general. Ethiopia was anywhere south of the Nile Delta. So it's a bunch of made up stuff. And who was going to check it? Anyway, I ain't going to go back and forth with ignorance. If a person can't understand that and go research that and see that for themselves, then you live your life in your ignorance. Fine by me. Just like if you know that there was no such God as Yahweh until there were Canaanites, and that the Canaanites created Yahweh, but you want to insist that, Adam knew Yahweh. No. And even Adam himself would have been Sumerian, Akkadian. No. This falls right in line with those who think that there was a worldwide flood and that from 3 sons and their wives, the rest of the world was repopulated. If that is true, if that was true, this right here, and nothing against anybody, not trying to be insulting to anybody, but understand it in how I'm saying it. Our common level of normalness will actually be genetic defect. What we call normal would be the equivalent of Down syndrome. You see how that don't make no damn sense? Because there's not enough genetic material with 3 couples. I think you need 16,000 people to repopulate and have enough genetic material. Anyway, let's have a conversation. I am. What's your name? Unmute yourself. You got to unmute yourself. You're muted right now.
Oh, excuse me. I kind of like your title, man. Peace.
Hey, how you doing? What's your name?
The I Am, the Hebrew.
Now, what is your name?
The Hebrews.
What is your name? I'm not.
That's what people call me.
Okay, I'm not people. And your government name, that's not your government name, man.
Boss man, what do you want to call me, man? I just called to conversate with you. What do you want to call me?
I'm just not calling somebody I am. That's just what I'm not
Okay,
doing.
I
So
just said I ain't
right
trying
here,
to have a I'm not being conflictive. I'm saying, what do you want to call me then?
whatever your government name is.
You call
It's,
me Aya, man. Just call me Aya then. That's what people call me.
all right, yeah,
So I
that's fine.
like your title, man.
Cool. What about it that you like?
It says Bible,
Mm-hmm.
deconstruction of the Bible,
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
Well, yes. Wait a minute. Title of my page or the title of today's conversation?
Okay, hold on. I might be getting them mixed up. Let me make sure I got it right.
So the channel is called Deconstructing Christianity. The conversation, the title of today's show is How Did the God Evolve to Become God? You still there? Hello? Isa?
Oh, okay, your topic is dealing with the Bible, but the topic, yeah, okay, it's similar to me. It's interesting how you don't say how the Torah or the Tanakh or the Old Testament or the Hebrew scriptures. You don't say that. You say the Bible.
Well, so I deconstructed from Christianity. So within Christianity, it includes the Old Testament, the Torah. So to me, it is all one and the same. I mean, I understand the separation of the two, but Christians have to accept both.
So your issue is not with the Hebrews. Your issue is with the Christians.
No, my issue with all of them. So here's the thing: if a person deconstructs from Christianity, then you also have to deconstruct from the Torah as well.
That's
so you have to deconstruct from the Old Testament as well.
I disagree with that because that would be backwards because Christianity don't come before the Hebrews. It don't come before, nor does it come from the Hebrews. Do you understand what I'm saying on the response to that? So
Well,
if you just deconstruct Christianity, okay, cool, no one cares. But if you try to deconstruct the Hebrews and the so-called Old Testament or the Torah or the Tanakh, then okay, that would be a concern.
Okay, so like I said, in the process of deconstructing from Christianity, because the Jesus character believes in the God of the Old Testament, you also deconstruct from the God of the Old Testament, which would be the Hebrew.
Okay, Christians may say they believe in the God of the Old Testament. That's fine. But when you look at the books, they're not the same, nor are they connected. The Tanakh is completely the Tanakh does not even contain the New Testament. So that's two different religions and two different belief systems.
I agree with you. That's one of the reasons why we deconstructed from Christianity, because the God that Jesus worshiped is distinctively different from the Old Testament God. And really it's more Paul. Paul is really the one that goes against the Old Testament God and starts saying a bunch of stuff because he goes against Jesus as well. But even in even the fact that Jesus worshiped the God of the Old Testament, and so then in that deconstruction, we examine this God of the Old Testament, and then when we examine that God, we find that God to be reprehensible as well. So that's why we deconstruct from both.
But you can't destroy the Hebrew text and scriptures by destroying Christianity. That's impossible to do. In order to destroy the Old Testament, you would have to use the Torah, the Tanakh, the eternal covenant. You have to use that to destroy it. You can't use Christianity to destroy the Old Testament.
You're not understanding what I mean. You're not understanding what I mean. What I'm saying is we do examine the Old Testament. And when we examine the Old Testament, the Torah, we find it reprehensible as well.
Okay, I can understand when you say that, but when you say the Bible, you automatically just including the Hebrew scriptures and
so the Bible, the Christian Bible, has the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures as part of it.
Yeah, but the Hebrew scriptures do not even condone the New Testament scriptures. So that's what I'm saying.
Irrelevant. That's irrelevant.
Well, that is very important though.
No, you're making an irrelevant irrelevant statement there. It doesn't matter if the Hebrew, we recognize that the Old Testament and the New Testament have some contradictions with each other. But even when we separate it and look at just the Old Testament alone, it's still reprehensible.
Okay, when you say reprehensible, you're talking about you still have some things against it. I get that, but what I'm saying is that you can't make somebody be a part of me that's not a part of me. So what I'm saying is with the Torah, the Tanakh, you can't make the New Testament be a part of the Torah and the Tanakh when we don't even acknowledge that or accept that as being our part of our culture, nor a part of our book, nor our customs, nor our prophets or apostles.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If all I looked at was the Old Testament, if I just look at Genesis, I can look at Genesis by itself and say, oh, hell no, this is jacked up by itself. I don't need to look at anything in the New Testament. I can just look at Genesis and walk away from it saying that if this is a God, I wouldn't worship it. But all evidence suggests that this is not a God. This is just some people trying to create their own creation story without any scientific knowledge, and science goes against it. Archaeology goes against it.
I respect that. No, I respect that. I acknowledge what you're saying on that, but you're not doing it from that perspective. You're trying to attack the Tanakh or the Torah, right? Through Christianity.
No.
Okay, you're not doing that? Okay.
You're not getting it.
Okay.
We look at each one separately. Once we look at the Old Testament, unless it's something that the New Testament is relating to, then yeah, we'll correlate the two. But when we look at the Old Testament, we look at the Old Testament for itself. Like all that genocide, all that enslavement that's approved and condoned by this God of the Old Testament. Just that by itself is enough. You understand what I'm saying? I ain't got to look at that through New Testament eyes or any New Testament relevance. Just that by itself is enough. The fact that Leviticus 25 says that you can own that of the foreigners is where you buy your slaves and you own them as property and you pass them down to your sons as property. Just that by itself is enough to say, oh, hell no.
Okay, so but it would be different. See, you don't put that in your title. You don't say the Bible, the Tanakh, the Bible, comma, Tanakh, comma, Torah, or comma, Quran. You put Bible, which that's really no. You trying to lump two different sources of books together, and they don't even belong together.
You're dying on a hill that is irrelevant.
Okay, tell me why.
It's only relevant to you because I'm assuming that you are Hebrew. And so you don't like the term Bible as a description of the whole thing. You're breaking up a little bit. But
okay, no problem. I got you. I am a Hebrew, but I'm coming from the perspective. It's not just me though. Even the Jews would say the same thing or similar, because I'm talking about
and I wouldn't give two rat's asses what they say, because I'm not going to put a title that says how did the Christian Bible, the Torah, the Tanakh, the Midrashes, God evolved to become God? Because why would a title is not a paragraph?
I got you.
Statement to give an idea, an overview of what the conversation.
Well, I don't have a problem. Like I say, you can attack the Bible all you want. You can even attack. I'm talking about even the Old Testament Bible, because the Old Testament Bible and the Tanakh are actually two different things, technically, from a technical perspective. See what I'm saying?
They pretty much say that when I say the Tanakh, the Torah, we still pretty much talking about the same damn books. Are we talking about Exodus? Are we talking about Exodus? We're talking about Leviticus and Numbers. We talking about these same books, right? Chronicles, Joshua, Judges. They might
Right.
extra books here and there, but for the most part, we're talking about the same books.
Okay, when you're talking about the books in a particular sense of separate, then okay, yeah. But when you say Bible, you're talking about the Christian. You're talking about a compilation of the Christians putting together.
No,
They take
sir.
the Torah or the Old Testament scriptures.
We've already established that. And
So
we've
so so
already established that it doesn't freaking matter. We look at these the Torah Tanakh on its own validity, and we see that it has no standing.
okay.
So dying on the heel of the separation between Christians and Hebrews, and for those of us who have deconstructed, it doesn't matter. We deconstruct from the whole thing, the entire narrative.
Okay,
no matter
but
what book you throw in there, no matter what title you call it.
yeah, but you don't say deconstructing the Most High or the teachings of Moses or the Hebrew faith or no, you say you call it deconstructing Christianity. That's a whole different paradigm from deconstructing the teachings of the Hebrews.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I'm trying to be as patient. I'm trying to learn more patience. All right.
Well, thank you, man.
I didn't grow up Hebrew. I never chose to be Hebrew. I grew up Christian. I chose Christianity. I walked away from Christianity. In deconstructing from Christianity, I looked at Hebrew. I looked at Islam. I looked at a whole bunch of other religions. I found all of them to be wanting. But because I deconstructed initially, I only deconstructed though from Christianity. So hence the title of the channel. In this process though, we break down, because Christianity does come out of Judaism. We have to break down the Judaism or Hebrew Israelite in order to fully deconstruct from Christianity. And I'm not going to say, and that I got to, this channel deconstructing from Christianity, Hebrew, all this other stuff to make everybody happy.
I got you. I understand, but Christianity does not come from the Hebrews.
Yes, it does, bruh.
Sir, the Christians spoke in Greek. Our scriptures came forth originally in Hebrew. The Christians' original scripture or text or literature came forth originally in Greek.
Okay, the literature.
So that's a whole different. That's a whole different
your
race and nationality.
Semantics. The literature is written in Greek. The people who was walking around in first century Judea, who were Jewish people under Roman control, spoke Aramaic, which is an offset of Hebrew. They were Hebrews. They were Israelites in Judea in first century. Those who then became Christian. Don't be that. I know you're more intelligent.
Hold on, no. Listen to what you just said. I said the Hebrew script. That's the Genesis through Malachi, as most people know about, or the Tanakh. That was written in Hebrew. We are not Greeks. Hebrews are not Greeks. So you're talking about a whole different race.
The first Christians. The first Christian were Hebrew.
No, they were not.
So what you're trying to say is that all them people in Judea who first converted over to Christianity were all Greeks.
Everybody, wait a minute. Which are you talking about? The New Testament literature, or are you talking about some historical literature?
No. You're talking about literature. I'm talking about the people. The people.
Okay.
The people in Judea under Roman control who who started Christianity and converted into Christianity. Those people in Judea. Are you saying that they were Greek? Or were they Hebrew?
Yeah, those were not Hebrews at all. Those was Greeks and Romans and some other races of people, or nationalities of people. Those or Edomites, if you want to call them that too. But those were not Hebrews. Hebrews had long been cast out their land long before Christianity stepped on this. I mean, that particular form of Christianity stepped on the scene. Those were not the real Hebrews.
Where's your proof that those people were Greeks, because all archaeological evidence and historical evidence demonstrate that they were the first converts to Christianity were Hebrews.
No, it doesn't. I actually, that's not true. If you you can go into different literature and see that the Hebrews were no, you can go into the Torah. They were out of the land. In the time of Jeremiah, they left the land, and then they were a lot of them scattered, left the land willingly, and then some of them was driven out through force, and some was just killed. But the original Hebrews was not even around doing in Judea or in Israel or northern Israel during the time of Christ. I mean Jesus. They weren't even there. Those were Edomites and other foreigners. They took over that land.
That's not what archaeology says, bro.
Well, I think it does.
The archaeology shows that them brown people who have been in that land, who were calling themselves Israelites and Hebrews, had been the same ones, and the last massive scattering of them happened in right after 70 AD or 70 with Titus.
I got you, but I'm dealing with the text. That's what we've been dealing with all this time.
I deal with text and archaeology. So
okay, that's fine.
I don't just deal with text, because text doesn't tell you the whole story, and text can easily be manipulated. The
Tanakh does not teach that we were in the land during the time of the Roman Empire dominance. It don't even teach that. So somebody's history is wrong then, because it's definitely the Torah ain't wrong, because we wasn't there. We had stopped writing. We had stopped writing. We had stopped prophesying and everything. We wasn't there.
So you saying that the people who was running the temple in Jerusalem when they were controlled by the Greeks and when they were controlled by the Romans, those were other Roman citizens. Those other Greek Roman citizens.
They were under Judaism, and Judaism don't come from us. I heard you mention the word Judaism. That does not come from Hebrews. Okay. Judaism come from people who teach Judaism now. It come from them people. We don't teach Judaism. If we do, we're wrong for doing that. We was not commanded to teach no Judaism.
Right. That's semantics. That's just a change in the name. It's just like going from Israelites to Hebrew. It's just a change in the damn name. It's semantics.
No, okay. What is Judaism? Have you looked that up before?
Judaism and Hebrew ain't there's no difference to me. They all are followers of the Torah. The Tanakh.
No. Judaism deals with
no. If you are believing in the God Yahweh, you believe in Yahweh. It's just like when Christians try to say, "Oh, that person is not a real Christian." They believe in Jesus. They're a real Christian.
That's different.
They might be your drunk uncle at the picnic, but he's still your drunk uncle.
I know, but that's different.
If you believe in the Abrahamic God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, if you are practicing that religion, you are Hebrew, and the Torah Tanakh shows that. Ruth was originally a Moabite, but then when she said, "I'll make your God my God, your father's my father, your land my land," then she became a fucking Hebrew.
That's not how it works. Judaism is a modern day religion. Look it up on the internet. You can Google it. Okay. When was Judaism introduced? Judaism is not Moses, King David, and them never taught Judaism. That's something that's modern. That's not even that old compared to the Hebrew scripts. So you're not accurate on that.
All right. So what makes a person Hebrew? You said the original Hebrew. What makes them the original Hebrew?
Okay, a Hebrew comes from, like you said, Abraham. Comes from Israel, Jacob. That's what a Hebrew comes from there. That's just another name for them, but they're really Israelites, but they are also known by being Hebrews.
What makes them Hebrew?
What makes them the chosen
from that land? That's what makes them Hebrew?
No, Hebrew. I said it comes, like you said, that's a seed. That's children. Anybody that's a descendant of Israel.
Anybody that's a descendant of Israel.
Yeah, so, anybody that come from the male line of an Israelite is a Hebrew.
The male line. So the woman's line don't matter.
She don't produce Hebrew. She only can birth Hebrew. She can't make a Hebrew by herself. She need a Hebrew man to make the Hebrew. She carries the Hebrew in her womb through the seed of the male.
So basically, what you're saying is that y'all don't accept biology.
We accept biology, but we got a rule. No. I'm not denying, but I'm saying according to the way the Creator made it through the Torah, you're an Israelite or you're a Hebrew through your father's line, and your mother is she could be a Hebrew, but she can't the tribe name and the lineage is traced through the father.
Yeah, see, that's
primarily because that's where
that's
you get your inheritance from the man.
That's a bunch of cultural bullshit.
But it's in the text, though, man.
I understand it's in the text, and which is one of the reasons why it's rejected. I reject it.
I got you. No, but
you're saying a person's lineage can only come from their father.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying you get your lineage from both of your parents, but when it comes to being a Hebrew, you ask me, how are you a Hebrew? You only can be a Hebrew if your father is a Hebrew. That's the only way you can be a Hebrew.
Right. So you get your lineage from your father. Your mother's lineage don't
matter.
No,
I didn't say you get your lineage from both your parents, but to be a Hebrew, you got to specifically come from a Hebrew father or an Israelite father.
Isn't that your lineage?
Your lineage is still from your mom, but you might be from your mother's side. You might be a Chinese. Hold on.
Like I said earlier, y'all just ignore the lineage of your mother.
I just said your mother might be a Chinese, so you still get lineage.
You don't. No, you don't. Because as far as y'all concerned, if it's only from the father, that's the only one that matters.
We're talking about nationality and tribe. We're talking about
right. That's the only one that matters. So the fact that Ruth was a Moabite and Boaz was a Hebrew, then that means that Obadiah is their son.
I'm not saying that's the only thing that matters. I'm saying
it's the only thing that matters. He ain't got no Moabite lineage.
No, I didn't say
straight up Hebrew.
No, I didn't say that doesn't matter. You said that. I say they both matter, but one is more important than the other when it comes to inheritance and who you are as a nation and as a person and as a people. Then we put our is more superior. It's more important to us as a people. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying both of your lineages is important or you wouldn't even be here. But when it comes to what's most important in the eyes of the Creator or our God and our culture and our customs and our traditions and our ways of life and our teachings and our laws, your nationality is more important on the father's side of the family. And when it comes to that type of stuff, that's what I'm saying. I didn't say they're not important.
I understand what you're saying as far as your man-made rhetoric. That's all that matters. But as far as biology,
not all that matters. The most important.
No, that's all that matters. That's how you are establishing who is a Hebrew and who is not. It doesn't matter about your biological makeup. The only thing that matters is that you can trace a line of men who were born to other Hebrew men
and women.
And it doesn't matter how much Hebrew is in them, as long as you can trace a line, right?
As long as you can trace your ancestry through your father, if your father's a Hebrew, like say if a man has some female girls, some children, then they're Hebrews too. But now
wait. How can if they only have daughters, then that woman marries another person who's not a Hebrew, that person then ain't Hebrew.
Correct. They're not recognized as being a Hebrew when it comes to nationality and nation.
They're not Hebrew
and tribe.
But so a woman's genealogy does not matter.
No, that I would never say nothing that crazy. That's stupid.
Gosh, dude, you are double talking.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that when it comes to the law of the Hebrews,
the man-made bullshit part of it.
Well, but just let me say this right quick. It matters, but when it comes to the aspect of what's more important according to the Hebrews, it would be tracing your genealogy from your father's side, because
so the mother don't matter.
It does, but not when it comes to the Hebrew.
If a woman who was born to it from Hebrews goes off and she marries an Amorite, then that child is not Hebrew.
Correct, it's an Amorite.
So the woman don't matter. It's just say it, man. That's all it is.
No, when it comes to hold on.
What the truth is.
Okay, when it comes
Deal
to
with that side and live in it and be proud of it.
when it comes to reproduction, it does matter. But when it comes to who that child is and who that child belongs to, and when it comes to nationality and tribe, it more matters more so who the father is.
Right. The woman don't matter.
I'm not
Just
gonna never
say
say
it.
that. I'm not gonna
Why?
say
Are
that.
you scared? What you scared of? You gonna
Because
get canceled?
you're still supposed to respect your parents. I mean,
it ain't what the fuck we respecting parents for on this one. We talking about where a person's identity is coming from. And if you're saying the identity only comes from the father, then the woman's identity don't matter. I mean, you believe this, so just like say it strong.
What the way you saying it, that's not right. To say
Why?
it
because you don't like what? Because it's true.
No, because you can't get here without a mother and a father.
We know that. You see, you keep flipping biology and man-made heredity. I'm talking about in your viewpoint, you are saying that you are only Hebrew if you are born through the father, and the father is Hebrew, right?
Yes, sir.
So then the mother's man-made thought process of lineage don't matter. Not talking about the biology.
But it's like that even in
don't matter.
Okay, watch this. But it's like that even in some Native American, American Indian
we ain't
cultures.
Talking about Native Americans. We ain't talking about.
But just I just wanted to give an example
it don't matter. The examples don't matter what other people do. We talking about what these jokers do.
Okay, but we ain't the only ones to do it like that.
It don't matter. It don't matter. That if I steal something, it doesn't matter if my next door neighbor steals something. I still got to pay for my crime.
Okay, but white men do it.
Don't matter.
Well, I mean,
what we're talking about is the Hebrew, and in the Hebrew, the mother's lineage don't matter. Say what? It's okay.
No, it does matter, but not in regards. Okay. It matters.
We go.
Hold on. Let me just say this. It matters on certain.
You know, how old are you, man?
I'm 21.
Okay, 21. That's part of the problem. And when you get older, you're gonna think about this conversation, and you're gonna be like, "Well, shit. If that's what I believe, then that's what I should have just damn said." I don't know why I was holding back.
Why do you want to be harsh like that, man?
It's not being harsh. I'm truthful. I am 100% truthful, whether it hurts or it don't hurt.
But why say it like that?
And the fact of the matter is, a woman's genealogy in Hebrew, as far as the Hebrews are concerned, don't matter at all. Only
it does. If she's a Hebrew, it matters. Now, if she's a Hebrew, it does matter because
let me tell you. Let me give you an example of why it don't matter. When Moses was giving out inheritances and it was talking about inheritances, and these two women, this one man only had daughters, so the women weren't going to get an inheritance. They came to Moses and said, "Well, we deserve an inheritance." Moses said, "You know what? You're right. You do deserve an inheritance. But if you were to marry somebody outside of the tribes of the Hebrews, then you lose your inheritance." That's how it don't matter.
I like that. That's a beautiful law. That's a beautiful law.
And would you do that today?
I think it should be done like that today. I really do.
Okay. I think that is sexist as hell. But in today's world, that shit wouldn't work.
Oh, no, it does work because if you go to Thailand, right? If you go to Thailand, did you know you can't own no land unless you purchase, unless you you would be like a co-owner. You got to be with a Thailander or somebody who's originally from there and those people in order to own land there. Or
if I go through the process and become a citizen of Thailand and give up my American citizenship, then I can buy land in Thailand.
Now that part I gotta investigate. That part I don't recall that.
Yeah,
I don't recall.
Yeah, I investigated because that's one of the places that I want to go and live.
Okay, so okay, I got to give you that because you did further research on that part. But I know if you over there and you're not well, I don't know if you're a citizen or not, but if you over there, you can't go over there and just buy no land over there, man.
No, there are plenty of places where you can't do that right off the whip, but there are places that you can. But that doesn't matter.
The reason why I mention that though is because they got.
If you have a daughter, and if your daughter marries somebody, let me assume that you're a black man.
No, I'm not black. I'm a Hebrew.
Let me assume that you have the same pigmentation that I have.
You're not black either. You're brown, bro.
I just said, let me assume you have the same pigmentation I have. To just delete that whole conversation because I don't want to get into that either. Because I can consider myself whatever the hell I want to consider myself.
True, but you're not black though.
No, you cannot determine my identity.
Hold on. No, I'm not dealing with your identity right now. I'm talking about your complexion.
You cannot determine how I identify within my complexion as far as a race. You choose.
No, I ain't dealing with race right now. I'm saying according to your
dude, you're going off into the wrong thing that we don't need to go off into.
Is your complexion brown or black?
Oh my God.
Complexion.
When I say black, I ain't talking about my actual color, dude. I'm talking about my race.
Okay, cool. Fine. That's you black then.
So I'm going to assume that you are a man of some level of melanin. A certain level of melanin.
Everybody got
no. So you just want to be argumentative in every goddamn thing.
No, I'm being Pacific. It's not about being arguing. I'm being Pacific. You asked me a question.
I said of similar melanin to my own. I didn't determine. I didn't say nobody else has melanin.
Okay, I'm a Hebrew
man of close melanation as I am.
No, I'm a Hebrew with woolly hair. So that's what my ancestors, the Ancient of Days, have woolly hair. Daniel chapter 7, verse 9.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I see that you are not capable of just having an honest conversation.
I just don't identify. That's not.
You have to find some argumentative space to talk in, no matter what is said. And even just to get to a simple ass point of me just saying that if you had daughters and they married somebody outside of your group, that they would lose whatever inheritance that you left them, you would be okay with that. That's all I was trying to get to.
Yes, sir. I said. Okay, no problem. I agree with what you just said. That's right. I agree with that. That they should. They lose it because they made a choice, and they didn't go into the choice that they didn't make the choice that would cause them to keep it.
Okay.
So that's
so then you would be okay with the fact that your daughters shouldn't have the choice of who they marry, but you choose who they're going to marry.
I didn't say that. Now that's a different subject. Now you talking about a different subject.
It's in the Torah.
No. But you talking about? I got you. It is in there. I think, but you talking about a different subject.
But I know. But I'm just throwing more shit out there that you would be agreeable to. You should then be agreeable. If you agree to that law of Moses, then you should be agreeable to the other laws of Moses. And some of the other laws of Moses say that it is the father or the father is dead, the older brother, who determines whom the daughters marry.
Well, I never read that in there. Not depending on like certain races, certain nationalities, they can't marry. But that's because that's forbidden in scripture. But all nationalities, they wasn't forbidden to marry.
Daughters in the Torah, daughters never got to pick who they wanted to marry. They always go through the process. They have a bride price. And the bride price must be paid to the father after they negotiate who they're going to marry. The women don't get a choice.
I hear what you're saying, but the women do have a choice. I mean, they got
give one example where a woman really had a choice.
They can. What I mean by choice is they can say, no, I don't want that particular man. Yes,
they cannot.
Yes, they can. They can say, I don't want him. But yeah, I am going to marry within my nationality.
Where's that in your Torah?
You can see that when it was talking about I think when Isaac and Rachel was getting together, or either before or either after that. The women that Jacob married, they made a conscious.
No, they didn't.
They wasn't forced to be with him.
No, they didn't. I need you to go back and read that story. Let me give you the quick breakdown of that story.
Okay.
Rebecca tells Jacob to go back to her uncle to find a wife. Mm-hmm. He goes to his uncle to find a wife who was not practicing the worship of Yahweh. Jacob sees Rachel. Jacob falls in love with Rachel. Jacob then goes to Laban and say, I want to marry Rachel. Laban says, you got to work for me for 7 years and then you can have my daughter Rachel. So see, Rachel's not in the equation here. She doesn't have a choice. So then Jacob,
you assuming, sir.
No, that's what your book says. It says
it didn't say she was made to do that against her will, sir. She chose to. She agreed to it.
When did she agree? When does it say she agreed? It doesn't say
if she didn't agree. If she didn't agree to it, she wouldn't have done it.
Hold on. Okay, let me finish the story then. After the 7 years, they go through the wedding ceremony, but when they go into the marriage bed, It's Leah who is in there. Now, if Rachel really wanted to marry him, then she would have told her father, hell no, Leah's not going in there. Or if Rachel really wanted to marry him, then Rachel would have been in that tent. But instead, it was Leah. And he comes out and he's asking Laban, why did you trick me? And Laban is like, well, it's customary that the oldest daughter get married first. So now he's married to Leah. Then Laban tells him, if you want Rachel, you got to work another 7 years. He works another 7 years, and he finally gets Rachel. Then when Rachel and Leah are having a baby making contest and Rachel can't get pregnant, she forces her handmaid to go in and have sex with him to provide more children, to provide a child for him.
She forced her?
Yeah.
So
it says that both Rachel and Leah, I sent in my handmaid to produce a child for me.
But she agreed to it.
Dude, the handmaid was a slave. She didn't agree to shit. Slaves don't get to agree or disagree. And no, Rachel didn't have a choice. Leah didn't have a choice. Their father, Laban, made them marry them. Now, if you want to renegotiate it in your mind so that you can feel like women had right, then go ahead. But well,
we don't teach it like that. I mean, I know you teaching it the way you see it, but we don't teach it like that. At least I don't.
You don't teach it like that now. But if you were to look at how things were taught, how Hebrew teachings were done 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, it was taught that way. Because
they didn't teach, back then, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We look at it like that. We looked in the old way, and they didn't teach it like that in the old way. You're saying they did. I'm saying they did.
Yes, they did. I'm saying they did. That's why women didn't have choice. That's why. Look, that's why Bathsheba didn't have a choice. That's why Hagar didn't have a choice. That's why Sarah didn't have a choice. That's why no woman in that book ever had a choice.
Can I prove to marry? I'm gonna prove to you that you're completely wrong. If you go to Genesis, when the serpent, which was really Adam, that serpent was trying to persuade her to eat of the fruit, but then she made a conscious effort or a conscious choice to do it. No one made her do it.
You're talking about eating some fruit or whatever that fruit was. That has nothing to do with marriage.
What I'm trying to show you is that I mentioned that as an example that women had choices. They didn't have to. Just like when Lot's wife.
I didn't say that they didn't have no choice over nothing. I said they didn't have a choice over their marriage.
They had choice over that too. They could have said, no, I'm not gonna marry him. And can nobody force her to do it? Nobody. No man back in the Hebrew time. I mean, not Hebrew time, but in those days was gonna make a woman
really
well, unless you force. I'm talking about physical force, but I'm talking about like the father was not gonna just make his daughter marry somebody if she didn't want her. You don't see that. You don't see that nowhere.
If I'm gonna give you an example, and I'm telling you right now, I'm about to set you up, okay? So be mindful of what you say, because I'm about to set you up.
Okay.
Possibly.
Okay.
If you have let's say you have a daughter and she's about 15 years old.
Okay.
She's not engaged to anybody, but a man comes and rapes her.
Okay.
But then the man pays you 50 pieces of silver. Do you think your daughter would want to marry him? Would make the decision that, okay, Daddy, he paid the bride price, so I'll go ahead and marry him? Or do you think your daughter will be like, hell no, this motherfucker raped me, I'm not marrying him?
It depends, because that situation kind of actually happened already in the scriptures when Israel's daughter, Jacob's daughter, was raped, but she still was with that dude, if I'm not mistaken. But they had I think they went and got her. The men of the family went and got her though from that dude, and so
it never says anything about Dana still wanting to be with him. It says that he took her, he raped her, but then once they found out, two of the brothers was like, oh yeah, we'll let you marry her as long as y'all get a circumcision, and then they went and genocided the town. Coming from the circumcision. It never says anything about Dana still wanting to be with him. But
okay,
I asked you a question. Don't give me that already happened. I asked you a specific question about you.
Well,
with your daughter, would you make your daughter marry this man?
Okay, first of all,
it's a yes or no.
You saying would I make him?
Would you make him, or even would your daughter want to marry a man that just raped her?
I don't know. The mindset of each woman is going to be different. But
Would you
I
make
would
her marry him? Would you
no,
make
I
your daughter marry him?
no,
Marry
I
him?
would no, I wouldn't. I
Okay.
would.
So the Levitical law says that if the young woman who is not betrothed is raped by a man and the man pays 50 pieces of silver, then he must marry the young lady because he has taken from the father's property. But that's why he got to pay the 50 pieces of silver, and that she must be his husband, his wife, provide him sons, and that he can never divorce her. And even if he gets another wife, he cannot treat her unfairly.
Okay, so
And I don't know of one woman ever, and I've met plenty of women who have been raped. It seems like 1 in every 3rd woman has been molested. And not one of them, unless they got Stockholm syndrome, which means that they were with the person for a long time frame before the rape happened, not one of them would want to marry their rapist.
Okay, are you gonna let me respond to some of this stuff, or go ahead?
No,
You can keep talking. Tell your story.
No, I was done right there.
So, what specific question do you want me to answer? I thought I did.
No, I'm saying the Levitical law says that if that man pays the price, then your daughter got to marry the man.
Okay, so you saying the Levitical law according to how you see the Levitical law. I'm gonna teach that are totally different from you. First of all, in the law, a man and that daughter can say, you know what? No, you can't have her, even though he was willing to give him the money for her after he raped a virgin woman, female. So you don't even understand the whole law completely, like you think, or like you're saying. It don't go like it don't go. I just did.
Say it again. I didn't hear.
The woman and the father had a choice to accept that man's offer, or they could have rejected it.
Well, the father has a choice. The woman, it never says the woman has any choice whatsoever. You're reading into the scripture, not saying what the scriptures say. You're adding your own modern day interpretations into it. It just purely says that the man will pay the father 50 pieces of silver, and then the girl then they have to get married.
They don't have to get married. That's only part of the you got to read the whole text. That's if they agree to it. But if the man say, you know what, I'm not giving my daughter to you for whatever his reasons are, he doesn't have he don't have to accept that man's offer.
Where does you know that if the man chooses not to give the daughter?
That's in there. It's in there. I don't know the exact verse and chapter. I had to find it for you.
I mean, you're claiming stuff. You should be able to.
But you claim stuff too. You didn't tell me the exact chapter and verse of what you just quoted, or what you was trying to quote, or what you're trying to paraphrase, or whatever you want to call it. You didn't give me the chapter and verse either. Neither one of
you are absolutely right. I did not. But you know what I can do? I can easily go find it.
I can find it for you if you want me to. But you just look up in the law of Moses, the father can reject a dowry if he doesn't, after his daughter being raped, if he wants to. You can look that up. That you'll find it in there. I mean, I ain't pretending. I'm gonna give you an example of that. Again, when Jacob's daughter was raped, the men rejected the man's offer. They pretended to receive it, but they really rejected his offer, and that's one of the reasons why they killed them all too, because they was like, no, we rejected that. We ain't giving you to her. We ain't accepting what you offering. See, so that's I just gave you an example too, that it's in our law the same way. If the child is a virgin, if the young woman is a virgin, and she get raped.
Everything you just described, and you keep going to Dinah. The problem with that aspect of what you're saying is that it never includes Dana in the decision. It doesn't say anything about her saying she still wants to marry this man, that she wanted to be with him. You're adding something that's not there.
I never said Dana wanted to be with the man. I said that Dana, that the men did not agree to accept the guy, I forgot who that was, but his offer. So they never got together like that. They never got married because the men rejected the offer. A man or the father and the leaders of those women, the Hebrew women, they can choose to reject the man's offer if that person raped them. And we're dealing with Hebrews raping.
Where does it say a woman can choose when a woman can choose to reject it? It doesn't say that any. You got to.
I said the father can reject it, and the reason why the father is going to reject it many times is because if he does, it's going to be because the woman don't want to do that.
You are determining how an individual is going to feel. You don't know that, but you know what? I'm gonna give you a little bit of leeway to say that a father could reject that. You're absolutely right. A father could.
I know.
But we didn't talk. But the whole question that I was talking about had nothing to do with the father's rejection of it. It was the fact that the girl doesn't get a voice in it.
Now, women have a choice because they can choose to obey the Most High. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna give you a quick example. They can.
No, wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Deuteronomy 22, verse 28. If a man meets a virgin who is not engaged and seizes her and lies with her, and they are discovered, the man who lay with her shall give 50 shekels of silver to the young woman's father, and she shall become his wife. Because he violated her, he shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives.
Mm-hmm.
So the woman in this scenario does not have voice or agency. The only agencies are towards the man who seized her and took advantage of her, and the father of the young girl.
Read the part about the father. Okay, but you're saying they don't, but I'm saying they do, because even though you don't necessarily see that directly stated in that in the other passage that I was speaking about, but
you're reading into it because you want to.
No, women have choices. That's in the scriptures. Women have choices. They do.
Women do not have choice of marriage. Do they have other choices? Sure. But do they have choice of marriage? No.
Yes. A woman can say, I'm not marrying him, and can nothing the father do about it. Nothing. It's nothing. He can't kill her. He can't murder her. He can't do anything. If a woman says, I'm not marrying that man, father, then the father's going to have to just accept it.
Dude, let me tell you how much a woman does not have agency.
Okay.
This is how much a woman does not have agency. And somebody else put it up here earlier. So I'm just going to grab their post, but they did put the scripture where it's at, because I can always count on Isaac. In Exodus 21, 7 through 10, now if a man sells his daughter as a female slave, she is not to go free as a male slave does. If she is displeasing to the eyes of the master, eyes of her master, who designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. Now, a man can sell his daughter as a slave, but she don't get the Jubilee release. Hold on, let me finish what he said, because I have to go to the other part to finish it, because it won't show the whole thing on the screen. Who has designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He does not have authority to sell her to a foreign. This is the person who bought her. He does not have authority to sell her to a foreign people because of his unfairness to her. And if he designates her for his son, he shall deal with her according to, and it stopped right there because it wouldn't let him put the rest of it on there. But if I know Isaac, no, he didn't put the rest of it on there. But
okay, so
what does not have agency? The father just sells her into slavery, and then she is now at the will of the man who bought her. And if he don't like her, the only thing he cannot do is sell her to a foreigner. She doesn't go free in the year of Jubilee. And the only other way that she gets any type of upliftment, because if I remember correctly, what the rest of that says is that if the man then gives her to his son as a wife, then he has to treat the young lady as a daughter. And that's him giving her to her son as a wife. She has no agency. She don't get a choice in marriage.
Again,
there's one opportunity that you could have said a woman has choice in marriage, but you never brought it up. There's one.
I already know.
Bullshit story. And that story is filled with a whole bunch of bullshit. But there is nowhere else in the Bible except one time. But I'm gonna let you figure that out on your own.
No, it's not about. I need to figure it out. I probably know about it already. I just ain't mentioned it.
Which one is it then?
I mean, I'm just not recalling it at this point. That don't mean I haven't read it. I'm saying that because I don't read the whole book, so I might not be recalling it. But what I'm saying is that you just making you gave me an example of where the father is sells his daughter.
Mhm.
Okay, you interpreting it as if she didn't have any choice in that, but um,
You saying she had
that,
a choice whether or not to be a slave or not?
I mean, um,
Come on,
uh,
bro.
to be
I know
honest with you,
I know
to
you're
be
21, but I know you're smarter than that.
to be honest with you,
What's that?
she uh we was talking about marriage, so I'm not going to deal with the slavery part or the servitude part, but
Then show me
but
where a woman had a choice about who she was going to marry. There's only one instance in the Bible that actually in the Torah that demonstrates a woman choosing, even though it was on some sneaky bullshit. But there in every other situation, woman didn't have a choice.
they asked, I think I don't know if it was Rebecca or was it Rachel and them, but they asked their their family members asked her, do you want to go with Isaac or Jacob? And and the response was yes. They had a choice back in the day.
What's this? What's this? You got to know it, man. You making a
I don't
claim.
know.
You
I'm
should
not.
be able
I
to
don't.
know it.
It's in there. It's in there. I can make claims all day. That don't mean I can't. I don't know it's in there though. It's in there. It's a choice. Even when a daughter is being a slave, it's a choice because she can always run off. She can be like, "Man, I'm gone." Women had choices. I don't know how y'all. I don't read the Torah like that.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what I find with most people who believe in these books, these mythologies,
Mhm.
is that they you make statements,
Mhm.
but then you don't really know where it comes from, so you don't know if it's what it really says. Now, you are
Okay.
right. Rebecca was asked for her consent.
I'm gonna be right almost all the time as long as I
No,
stay on my
no,
as long
you're
as I
not.
stay on my A game. I'm gonna be as long as I stay on the A game, man. We're gonna be right, man.
No. So Rebecca, you're one example of
Mm,
a woman being asked for her consent.
mhm,
But then let's think about this logically. I want you
mhm.
to use some critical. I know they stopped doing critical thinking in school, but I know you think critically,
Well, they need to
right?
bring it back. Then they need to
I
bring it
know
back.
I know you think critically. If I got 15 instances that show that a woman doesn't have choice, but I have one instance where a woman does have a choice, are you going to say that the overall is based on the one or the 15?
Well, I prefer to go with the consistency, but there's nowhere in scripture that says that they didn't have a choice. You're putting that in there because that's how you want to see it. I don't see the text reading like that. I feel like I
So
see the scripture. I see the scriptures giving the daughters and the wives choices. That's because, and the reason why I know they got choices because they could choose to rebel. If rebellion wasn't real, then I would agree with you. But rebellion is real, or going against going against the command of the father or the husband is real. So to say that they don't have a choice, that's not true.
of course, everybody has a choice to rebel against whatever the system already is.
Oh,
So
good.
rebellion, but
Mhm.
we ain't talking about people rebelling. And to rebel, that means you have to go against what
Mhm.
the law says,
Mhm.
right?
But it's
That's
still a choice. I'm dealing with choice. I'm not saying that they should rebel. I'm saying that
okay.
women.
You dealing with choice, and I'm dealing with the fact that I'm saying that according to the laws of your Bible,
Mhm.
women don't have a choice. Women don't get to choose. Now, yes, can a
Mhm.
person rebel against the law? Of course. But the law of your book that you're
Mhm.
supposed to believe in
Mhm.
says that this is how you're supposed to govern yourself and govern your life.
That part I agree with what you just said. Absolutely, this is how you should govern yourself.
So,
But also,
so the governance of self in
mhm,
the book is that women in 99.9% of the time,
mhm,
according to the governance of the book,
mhm.
do not have agency to choose their husbands.
You say agency. What you mean by that, sir?
Choice.
Yeah, they got choice. It's all through the whole book. It's through the whole book.
Self-determination.
It's through the whole book because she can say, you know what? Father, I'm not trying to disobey you. See, you. Let me talk to you for a minute. Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you for a second?
No, you cannot. You cannot.
Oh my God! Come on, man.
No, the reason why you cannot is because you're deflecting, and and my tolerance for your deflecting is about at an end.
Just give me a chance, man.
No, because there is no chance. You already said it. The book says that this is how you should be. Yeah, somebody can go against the book, but that would be going against
you've been following. I'm not. I don't want to be. I don't want to be an irrational man.
You are being irrational.
But to say that, to have a daughter and then not listen to what she has to say, and then you say, you know what? I consider your feelings. I'm gonna go ahead and go along with what you say. You don't have to marry this man.
What are we talking about?
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it do. That means
it has nothing to do with the conversation.
If a woman didn't have choice, they wouldn't have the ability to.
Gosh, young man,
did you know that they could?
It has nothing to do with the fact that the rules of your God is that the woman is married by whoever her father determines.
At the end of the day,
so what? Yes, people rebel. Hell, slaves rebel. Women,
but it's not rebellion. It's not rebellion. It's not. Hold on, but I'm just saying that what I was going to say.
You're rebelling.
What I was going to say is that it's not rebelling if the father has an open mind. He hear his daughter out and say, you know what, I don't like him. Can you find me somebody? Can I say something? Can I say something though? I just want to say. I'm saying if he said.
I can't. No, I don't want to do no.
And I know you're not scared, are you? This is your.
Don't try to. Don't do. You. I'm too old for you.
I'm saying, are you scared? Are you scared? Just let me. I'm saying,
it ain't about.
Come on now, come on, man.
It's about the fact that you cannot.
So you're not gonna listen to your wife or your daughter if she say something that you don't agree with. That they don't.
You're talking about what a person individually may do. We're not talking about that. We started this out about
the law gives you permission to do that. The law in
the book. The book does not give you permission.
Yes, it does, sir. Yes, it does.
That a woman, the book teaches 11 times that the girl has to marry whoever her father tells her to marry.
No, he does not. It don't teach it like that.
Just like Leah didn't have a choice, just like Sarah didn't have a choice, just like none of the motherfuckers had a choice.
Yes, they did.
The book.
Yes, they did. They had a choice. They had a choice. They had a choice, whether it was wrong or right. They had they still could make a choice. That's where you're missing it at.
That's not what we're talking about. If we were
okay, well, that's what I'm talking about.
If we were talking about society and how people just work and function, then yes, I would agree with you. All the women do have a choice. They have a choice not to marry that person. They have a choice to run away. They have a choice to be ostracized. They have a choice. Of course, you have a choice. Every human being has a choice. You don't have to stay a slave. You don't have to stay any damn thing. You can choose your own life. But what we're talking about is in deconstructing from this whole mess is the fact that the book says that this is how you're supposed to operate in this society based on this God.
Okay, but in the book, it also talks about the woman has choice, choice. Or a vote. They have a vote.
When?
All through the whole book.
No, you don't.
Even in the situation that you're talking about. And then the father's going to be the final. He's going to be the final say. So he's going to say, okay, go ahead. Or no, you're right. Let's find somebody else for you. Woman can veto. She can I veto that, daddy. And then she can be like, okay, well, let me find somebody else then.
If a woman, if the father has final say, then the woman truly doesn't have a choice.
She still have a choice.
She can have a choice to speak, yes. But if the father said, well, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, but you still gonna marry, old John over there. And she has to marry John. She can choose to run away. She can choose to run away.
Okay, so she got choice.
And try to survive in a society where women can't really own shit. She can try. That's fine. Run away. She has that choice. And that's what you're missing. I'm not talking about that. Of course they have that. But the way the society is governed, she don't have that.
Even if it's governed the way you say it's governed, you still get choice. That's where you're missing it, man.
You know what? This is why I'm done with you. Because you just don't understand logic. You don't understand logic. And you are forcing this narrative to fit your paradigm so that you can keep believing in this bullshit. And Lilith left Adam. Show me Lilith in your Bible. Lilith is a made-up story. It's fan fiction, just like the Book of Enoch is fan fiction. Good night. I thought I was going to have an intelligent conversation. This is one of the reasons why I hate debates. I truly do. Because it is not often that I get someone who can be intellectually honest. Wasn't talking about, I mean, we can go on for days about, I mean, I listen to my daughters. I listen to my wife. I listen to my son. But if I'm living in a society where they can say what they want to say, but because we believe in this book, at the end of the day, they got to do what I say. Then that person truly doesn't have agency. And he was talking about they can vote. They can vote. Oh, look, they didn't vote on nothing. They weren't living in a democracy. They weren't living in a republic. There was no voting. A woman couldn't even give her word. If she made a promise, the father or the oldest brother, whomever had, or husband, if they could rescind that as long as it's done within 3 days, I think it's 3 days, 2 or 3 days, that they could rescind whatever promise she made. So she can't even make a promise to somebody without it being rescinded by her father or her husband. So women did not have agency according to this book. Sure. I'm sure there's some people who Harriet Tubman that shit. More than likely, that happened in this society. There are probably some women who ran away because they ain't want to marry Jessup. But that doesn't mean that's what the book says. So what do you think the point of the book is? Control. Control. Original religion started out as a way to try to explain nature around them. But by the time we get to the development of the Bible, it's all about control. Controlling the narrative of a people so that you can control the people. So, hey, Texas. I know it's cold up there, Texas. And boss lady, how you doing? Got my Agent Orange all up. Oh, and especially with, yeah, definitely. Now, almost every religion that is practiced today that stems from any ancient time frame up until the 1900s, all of them want to control women. Last one of them, I mean, last one of them, their goal is controlling women, controlling the sexuality of women. And the reason why they want to control women is because if a woman has a baby, you know that baby came from that woman. But what you don't know is whether or not that baby came from that man. So in order to control where the inheritance goes, you got to control who the woman has sex with. So if she only has sex with you, then you know that child is yours. And so you don't mind your finances, your land going to that child because you know it's yours.
That made me giggle a little bit because even the ancient men disliked kids so much that I ain't gonna take care of no other man's seed.
That's right. You're right. Wait a minute, let me ask you the question. Are you over 21?
Yes.
Okay, TikTok purposes, gotta ask. I forgot that yesterday. But yeah, it has been a consistent theme of men that they do not want to take care of and provide inheritance for children that are not their own. That's a thing that has been culturally embedded from the time of, for as far back as we can record history, as we have recorded history, I should say. but that's been a man thing, and that's why they have to control women.
Yeah, and I will say, and I know you're a man, so you got a little code to stick to. I know. I would say society would do a lot better if we didn't know who the father was, because studies have been done that show that when men don't know who the babies are in other species, they all have to take care of the babies, which is why the mother lion, like if they had more than one adult male, she'll have sex with all of them so that he won't unalive the babies.
Now, okay, let me think about my lion information here. I know if a new lion comes in and takes over, he'll kill all the babies. But okay, so you're right. Usually in a pride, there is an alpha male and there's a beta male.
No, those are dogs.
No. This happens in lions too. Usually there's only 2 male lions in a pride. And the women will first try to have sex.
I've seen up to 3 on Disney Channel. I mean, not Disney Channel, but the Nature Channel.
Okay.
I've seen up to 3.
Okay.
And it'll be like brothers that came from a litter, and they were like nomads, and they found a group of female lions who's probably their lion died unalived, and then so they just mated with that group of females. I've seen 3. They're just brothers.
Okay, and I can give you one more. We can have 3. And yes, but there's still also oftentimes an alpha, and they all will. And you're right. The females will have sex with all 3 of them, and all 3 of them are tasked with protecting the pride itself, right? And this is one of the reasons why there's more than one, because usually the rogue lions run in a pack of, I've never seen 3, but 2 is 3 is fine. And one lion ain't whooping 3 lions' asses in most cases. So I'm with you, and I agree with you. Now, in the human species, and we can also see that with gorillas as well, the same scenario where there'll be a few male gorillas and they'll have sex with like all the females, and all the male gorillas have to protect all the children, right? So there really is no identification of whose child is the male's.
There's no hoarding of resources, right?
But that ain't gonna work with man.
With that said,
that ain't gonna work with humans.
With that said, like, if we were more like nature, and dolphins do it too, all of them they're very sexual dolphins. We wouldn't be able to have a hierarchy, because if you can't hoard resources, you can't create a hierarchy, and there wouldn't be any patriarchy.
Well, hold on. I gotta mess with you a little bit on this one, okay? Just for shits and giggles.
Okay.
Those male lions will protect their territory from other lions, just like wolves will protect their territory from other wolves. So there still is within their packs or pride or whatever they call themselves, whatever we call each group, they will share the resources within their pack, but they won't allow outsiders to come in and take their resources.
That's true.
Which humans do that on a bigger extreme, though. We go and we take people's resources.
Right. But lions, they set up their scent around where they are. Like in the wild, lions typically try to avoid other lions, unless maybe the male lions that were nomads are looking for a female group, and they stumble upon maybe one that only had an older single weak male, and they took over, But for the most part, like lions, like if you have a strong pride,
right,
you're pretty much unstoppable. Now, and females are always safe. It's the males that need to procreate they want to attach themselves to females. But I don't know if I would call that hierarchy. You know what I mean?
It's still somewhat of a hierarchy, but to translate that over to humans, it ain't gonna work. It's just not gonna work. Humans, because of our deductive reasoning, we're not going to allow ourselves to live based on a natural format like that. We are going to covet and fight. We're going to covet. And that's why and our societies have always developed based, with that in mind. So I can, the utopian thought of that, I'm with you. I see what you're saying. I'm gonna say I see what you're saying, but I recognize that humans ain't gonna ever do that. We not. We're always going to want to have our own possessions. I mean, look at women in American society. Even though polygamy is growing in America, the overwhelming majority of women are like, hell no, I'm not sharing a man. I want my own man. I want my own little family. I'm not going to share my man. Tell me, well, am I lying?
Although polygamy may be growing in America, there's also a very strong feminist movement that's growing even faster in America that don't want to deal with men. And some of them are just like, I just want to deal with a man with means. And the idea of love was just something that was handed to us to kind of like do what the Bible, reinforce the Bible to us, like, being under a man, and now it's true love and all of this, blah, blah. And so some women look at men as community property and not really something for keeping.
Yeah, because I have a relationship channel and I talk about those kinds of things on that channel. And you are absolutely right. There are a lot of women, especially in this Gen Z and millennials. I think Gen Z and millennials. They look at a man as a proposition, a contract, not so much as a love mate or companion. Which is why their first thought process is money, pay my bills, that kind of thing. Which also goes to show that even women are not going to be in a situation where there is shared resources. Now, you still have some tribes in different parts of the world who do live that life. But in most of the world, and especially in America, man, people not doing it. People are out for self. And they're going to keep being out for self.
Well, I think people, once they get tired of living in this system long enough, and with the amount of people that's waking up, I do think it's a possibility. I'm not gonna say we'll see it in our lifetime, or we just might. Who knows? What if we had a civil,
a civil war?
I don't know if I can say it on here. So
on my channel, you can say whatever you want to say. I don't care about them little keywords and all that kind of thing. I say whatever I want to say. If TikTok and Facebook, YouTube want to get mad at me, then I don't care. I'm retired and my money don't come from this.
Right.
So
I don't know. People are experiencing a lot of discomfort right now.
You know, one of the reasons why polygamy is growing, especially in the Black community, is because and I know it may sound terrible, but I'm not trying to look down on anyone. One, you got a lot of single mothers, and they're out here struggling by themselves, and not always just financially, but also struggling emotionally and energetic wise. So coming into a partnership where there is, 3 or 4 adults coming together, it becomes less stressful. Everybody's taking care of the kids. Everybody's taking care of the household, and it just makes life easier. So when the majority of people I see going into polygamous relationships are of the younger generation, because they tired of the struggle, and to see this as a better format to not be alone, to not have to deal with everything by themselves, because that is hard. I grew up in a single mother household. My mom struggled.
I'm a single mom and I do struggle. I will admit that, but I will say that I struggle even more being in the relationships that I've been in with these men. And you said that polygamy is a growing thing, a growing trend in America. I can't agree or disagree with that because I haven't seen anything personally that would bring me to think that it's growing, and I haven't seen anything that make me believe it is shrinking. So I don't really have to say about that. But I know one thing: before I rather share somebody's dusty son, I would love to buy homes and live like the Golden Girls with other women.
You know, I haven't researched, but that would be an alternative. Now, are you saying this in a lesbian sort of way, or this just in a what's the word? When the two people are they living together, but or they're friends and they're not platonic, or are you saying this in a platonic way?
It's a platonic the way I'm thinking. I'm not worried about like being in a relationship. You know, I think relationships in general are just draining. I don't even think it has to be a man.
Okay.
I mean, I think male-female relationships is the most draining, but I'm speaking truly just platonic.
Right. Okay. Because statistics show that the highest divorce rate is women and women together, and then that's followed by heterosexual, and then it's followed by gay men. But the divorce rate is higher with women and women. That's one of the reasons why I was asking. But I can see women coming together. I don't see a problem with women coming together to live together, shared responsibility with their kids, making life easier for everybody. Of course, everybody got to have the right mindset in order to do it. But then if they're all platonic, somebody gonna start dating somebody, which could mess up the whole deal.
I don't know. I mean,
you have to have 3 women or 4 women who have said, no man. None of us want to deal with a man. None of us want to have a relationship. We just want to raise these kids, get them on their way to where they're adults, and then if you want a relationship, you can spurn off and go have a relationship. But it has to be. But now you're talking about emotions, and you don't know what's going to happen in the future.
If one of them were to get like a boyfriend or something. Oh yeah, the rule would already be no man can move in. If you want a man in the house, you got to move out.
Right. And now some of that shared responsibility has depreciated.
No, you get another one.
Yeah, you could.
I was actually about to do that for a temporary time, but those women, they wanted someone long term, and I just needed something short term, so I didn't go with it. But there's currently women doing that now.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see women grouping together like that. Hell, dudes been doing that for a long time. They get 2 or 3 roommates, and they good go. Matter of fact, before I married my wife, me and my brother considered it. You know, we were both, I was in my late 40s, he was in his early 50s, and we were both like, man, shit, let's just buy a house. You know, we were going to include my sister, but we was like, nah, she's not responsible enough. But we were just going to buy a house. Me and him had a house, and nobody gets married. We just going to enjoy, chill, do what we want to do, but no move-ins, no, you can have a girlfriend, but she ain't moving in. And me and my brother were going to do that because I was at a point where I was like how you are feeling now about men. That's how I was feeling. And don't get mad at me, everybody on here. That's how I was feeling about American women. I was sick of y'all.
Passport, bro.
I was just going to handle a couple of things. And my brother knew it. I was going to handle a few things. Going to take me about 10 years to do it. But then I'm out of this country because I was done. American women were driving me crazy. Right? So I understand. I live in Texas.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
Yeah, and
Did you find someone overseas?
No, actually, my American wife was my friend, and I used to go and hang out with her on her porch, and I would tell her, I'm sick of these American women. I ain't dating no more American women. I'm going to be a hoe until I leave this country. But me and her just developed our friendship, and we started having so much fun together that I just told her one day, August 12th, I know the exact date, that you know what, I'm going to date you, and you're going to date me, and you're going to be happy with it. So I do tell her, I tell her every now and then, I'm just messing with her, that you my last American. You messed this up. You messed this up. And she's probably on this live, so it ain't. I don't have time to lie and sneak around. I told her, I mess every now and then. I tell her, you the last American. You messed this up, because if it messes up, it'd be her fault. You messed this up. I ain't dealing with another American woman. So I understand your feelings.
Imagine that, like, to feel like out of a whole country of billions of people, like there couldn't be one, like, because they're American. Like, I don't know.
It's the American mentality.
I would feel like the problem is me,
I am a very deep thinker about myself. I can look at each relationship I've ever had, and I know where I have failed. And I know that out of all the relationships I've had, there's only one that I am the reason for that relationship failing. In every other relationship, although I was never perfect, I know that the demise of the relationship did not come from me. It came from them. So I know that I am not the problem. Because one of the things, I'm very upfront from the very beginning, what my expectations are, who I am, how I live, what I value, what I don't value. And so they know. And the thing is, they lie. Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's great. Yeah, I can be that. And that's what I'm like, too. And I do this, too. And I do that. And I don't get caught in my feelings about this or that. But then 3 months later, 6 months later, they flip the script. Just a small example. I am not a gift person. You can buy me gifts all day. It don't really mean shit to me. So don't expect me to have this. Oh, I appreciate the thought. Right. But then this one woman, she kept buying me gifts, and she's buying me gifts that I don't wear sneakers unless I'm going to the gym. So you buy me sneakers, and now all of a sudden I got 10 pair of sneakers. Well, to me, those are to climb the mountain, to go to the gym, to cut the grass, all that kind of stuff. And then you want to start arguments with me because I cut grass in the sneakers you bought me. You can't control what I do with the gift that you give me. I told you that from the very beginning. And now you're mad and you in your feelings, and that turns into arguments, and those arguments disrupt my peace. And because I don't like having arguments, I'm not an argumentative type of person. We'll have a discussion, we'll settle it, and it's over. Back to happy. But she kept doing it. And one time I calculated it, 17 arguments in 1 month. That's ridiculous. To go the majority of a month arguing with each other. And the argument had to be where people's feelings were hurt and somebody needed to say, I'm sorry. And voices raised. So it couldn't just been a discussion, it had to be a true argument. See, that's how I am. And they know that coming in. But then when they go against it, I'm like, you lied to me. You bait and switched me. And I told you that if you do that, we're done. You go through my phone, we done. You make false accusations about me because of your insecurities from your past relationship, we're done. So it hasn't been me. And it might not be you. It very well can be them. But if you know yourself, then you will know whether or not it's you or them. And, I've had to make some changes. Of course, everybody adjusts in a relationship, but like my wife knows she buys me stuff, but she don't expect me to be like, this is so great. I love this shirt. Oh, you got me this necklace. Oh. No, I'm like, thank you. I appreciate it. Because I mentioned that I might want something, but it's not going to be like some big deal to me. Her birthday comes around. We got to do something big. My birthday comes around is just another day. I don't care. So.
Yeah,
I feel you. Yeah, and so when me and my wife, and I can't even get away with the joke of saying me and my current wife because she don't even get upset about that. So that joke don't even work. But when me and my wife were just friends and dating, she knew everything about me and understood everything about me. And so she made the choice. And so she knows if she violates that, then she got to hit them streets.
She knew everything about you and she made the choice.
Yeah. But that is why Me and her have been together for over 4 years now, and we have yet to have. We only had two issues out of the 4 years that required an emotional response. Beyond that, we haven't had anything else that was a disagreement. It was just a discussion. And we really haven't had many of those where we were in disagreement. Is if she wanted to do something or she did something, it was perfectly fine because it was within what she desires or what I desire. So we just haven't had those kinds of problems. And we've been in the same household for 4 years. So, but I think a big reason why is because both of us was very upfront from the very beginning. And both of us know who we are. And so,
well, I will say that I was the issue in every one of my relationships.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just because I had a certain understanding I was not even understanding, a certain conditioning, even though I felt things was off and deep down inside, I didn't listen to that shit. And had I listened to myself, my own intuition, I could have saved myself from a lot of pain. And yeah, they've deeply conditioned us as people, and especially the women.
Yeah, you are right. And there's a few that lasted way longer than they should have because the red flag was there and I didn't listen to it. I had to get, I'm too optimistic about things and I give people too many chances. Actually, I was just telling my wife the other day how I had to reduce my chances of people down to 2. You mess up, okay, we'll talk about it, see if we can fix it. But then you mess up again, usually we'll talk about it again, see if we can fix it. And then the third time, I was like, okay, I'm done. But I had to reduce that to 2. Because now you mess up and you don't fix it and you go and do it again. Now you just don't want to. So go live your life. Go do what you want to do. But there were other red flags that I should have seen with some other people. They demonstrated it and I should have just walked away from it. So you're going to experience that. That's going to happen because we allow our emotions sometimes to counter our logical thinking. And when our logical thinking recognizes something, we have to shut down that emotion and say, is this good or is this not? And then do what's best for us. So it just takes practice. It takes practice and some time. So
yeah, and it takes some awareness too.
Right. It takes a ton of awareness. This is one of the reasons why I am so proud of my son. My son has a level of awareness that is more like how I am today and not how I was when I was his age, when I was 23. If I had his awareness at 23, I would have avoided a whole hell of a lot of bad relationships and maybe not think so harshly about American women. If I had his level of awareness. And so, yes, I will admit I got baggage about American women. I do.
Well, I don't mind. I'm not really looking. I'm not checking for nobody's son at this point. So.
Oh, I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying that for that reason.
I know.
Wait a minute. How old are you?
Excuse you. Over 21.
Look, I'm 54, girl. I ask people whatever I want to ask. You're over 21.
That don't mean they won't answer.
This is true. I might have to call my son up. Hey, man, I need you to go follow this girl. Goddess. I can't see the rest of the name.
Goddess Divine.
Goddess Divine.
Yeah, I'm good though. No,
nah, I just saying.
I don't even be following people like that. Like, I follow when I really resonate with people. Something they said. I want to learn more about them. I do follow a lot of people on here, but a lot of times when people follow me, like, I don't follow them back unless we connected somehow,
No, I'm with you. I understand.
Yeah.
I'll just mess with you.
I've been seeing your videos and on deconstruction and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and that's basically what I've been doing. Just even reading all the way back to the ancient tablets, like Zachariah Stitchin.
Yeah, Zachariah Stitchin. Yeah.
His book. Yeah. How do you feel about his books?
Zechariah Sitchin's books are building blocks. So he was one of the first ones to really come out with a lot of the what's the word I'm looking for? Translations of the cuneiform tablets and the stories of the Sumerians and the Akkadians. Now, because we learn more, some of his information is wrong, but for the most part, he gets it right. And so I don't look at him as a guy who just put a bunch of false information out. He put out the information based on what we knew at the time. And so others have come back and been able to stand on his shoulders to correct the parts that he got wrong, which is fine. You can get parts wrong. You know, that's what archaeology is all about. Understanding what we know now, but later on we may find out more. And so we make the change. So his storyline of the Anunnaki and Enlil and Enki and all that is like 90% on par. It's great. The Anunnaki, the parts that's been majorly corrected, but still some people still refer to it as if it's still right, is the fact that the Anunnaki did not come from another planet. Nibiru is not a planet that circles on this long elliptical orbit around the sun. It is more likely that the Anunnaki were a pre-Ice Age civilization that was able to survive, although devastated, but has survived through the Ice Age and then claim authority over humanity after the Ice Age. But I don't think they weren't human in the same way that we are human. They were a different species of beings that was on Earth. And our Earth records show that we've had different levels of species on this planet over time. So we are not the first humanoid type, bipedal, humanoid, sentient. We're not the first sentient being. I shouldn't even use the term humanoid. We're not the first sentient beings to be on this planet. But
do you think there's life on other planets?
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly. But the only difference is like the closest life-giving planet, or what we would consider life, it's like we way out in the country somewhere. We on a desert, remote island somewhere, and compared to them, so we wouldn't be able to get to them in any time frame, and most likely they've never gotten to us unless you would have to have the technology to fold space or have a wormhole of some sort to be able to get here. Because the closest planet that's Earth-like is like 400 light years away. So traveling, you would have to have a generational aircraft, a generational ship to do that, or fold space, right? Because even at light speed, it would take you 400 years to get here. But the Anunnaki story, it doesn't take them 400 years to get here. It takes them according to how Zechariah Sitchin looked at it, it takes them only a few years to get here, if that. So that's why it's most likely that the Anunnaki that the Sumerians believed in were just some other type of sentient life form that ruled the earth before we developed.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of accounts of people, or those ancient people talking about something descending from the sky, like the fact that God is in heaven. Like when people say things over and over again for no reason, like it makes me think,
True, but okay. So consider this thing. During World War II.
Oh yeah, and also the oh my goodness, Congress was talking about things visiting our planet. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw the whole, what they don't call them UFOs anymore. UPAs, UFAs, something like that they call them.
Yeah, UPA, I think.
So I understand, but okay, and I'm gonna get there to the Congress thing too. But consider this: during World War II, the United States Air Force relocated a Samoan a South Pacific tribe. That tribe had never seen aircraft before. So when they relocated them, they left. They came back years later. When they came back, these people had built wooden versions of the airplanes, wearing U.S. Air Force insignias, and they worshiped a new god called John Frum, because they believed that this airplane was some type of alien god technology that brought them to safety. And so they worshiped the American Air Force. And John Frum, yeah, it's theorized that he's just, some guy said, I'm John from whatever, and they just call him John Frum. The North Sentinel tribe, they most likely thought helicopters. I mean, if you see a helicopter descending and you've never seen a helicopter before, they look as if they're coming from the sky. And I'll give you one more. When the Aztecs and the Mayans first saw Cortez and them coming over the horizon, they thought that Cortez was descending from the heavens and that he was the return of Quetzalcoatl. So they thought he came from the sky. So greater technology can be perceived as godlike to people if the distance of the technology is great enough. So the Sumerians and Akkadians and all these other people around the world, the Hopi Indians and all of them, could have simply seen a pre-Ice Age technology, pre-Ice Age civilization that had flight technology and thought that they were descending from the heavens. Because as far as they knew, nothing, no humanoid, no sentient being could do that other than a god. And so that's how they write their stories.
So you feel like the before Ice Age, it was a civilization that had the ability, they had airplanes and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you think.
Because
you think they were that advanced?
Oh, there's an Egyptian inscription. Now they try to say that it's an inscription on top of another inscription, but that they hid it for so many years. They hid this thing for like 40 years. You would go to the temple and they would be covered up by a cloth. But when they finally revealed it, it's a helicopter on there. It's a land vehicle. It's a jet looking thing. The Aztecs and Mayans drew individuals and things that look like rocket ships. So, but I just don't do the ancient alien aspect of it. It's just a civilization can survive an ice age, but it would be detrimental to them. And then you have the Younger Dryas flood, which sea levels rose 400 feet within a matter of 6 to 10 days, which would be devastating. I mean, you can imagine if sea level rose 400 feet today, New York is gone, Florida is gone, all these coastal regions are gone, and 80% of the population around the world live near the water. So the majority of the population is devastated, and that would create a downward spiral in world civilization if that were to occur. So if there was this pre-civilization, the Ice Age and the Younger Dryas flood would have devastated that civilization, and for those who remained could take on godlike personas and out of their selfishness rule over this newly developed sentient humanoid that we are today. And there were multiple versions of us developing at that time frame that was in existence.
Right. And then you also have to think about like the evolution theory, before the Anunnaki, and then we were like this hominid thing that looks almost ape/human.
Yeah.
And then the next generation after that, it just looks like us.
Right.
So I don't know, how does that fit in with this pre-human being? Like, were we like, how did we get like this? Were we more of the ape-like thing creatures when they still existed? Like, I don't know, just a lot of questions. Like, how does that fit? I'm trying to make it fit in with all the theories, because nobody did it like Zachariah Stitcher did for me to make it all fit in.
Well, if you're this civilization that was existing, you already knew about groups like, for instance, the Neanderthals and the Homo sapien. And you saw that they were kind of like a sentient being, but of a child, more of a childlike situation. Kind of like how we look at gorillas right now. We know that gorillas have emotions. We know they have thought. We know they love. We know they cry. They have sympathy. They have empathy. We know they communicate with one another. So we can see that they have possibility within them. And maybe in 500,000 years from now, they will develop into a society as they continue to evolve. So it takes, you have to look at it through that longer period of time so that evolution can happen, right? Now, the interruption that the gorillas and would have is the fact that we are so spread out, so dominant, that we may be stagnating, we may stagnate their growth and development. But if our civilization is destroyed and then we become remote and 50,000 years go by, we may see them further along, but not quite there. But according to Zecharia Sitchin, Enki, Enlil, and Neharsag and Anu decided to tamper with the genome of that humanoid that we were at that time frame, not fully developed, and add their own genetic markers into our DNA. And there is some of our DNA that looks like it's been fused together, like it's not a natural process. So there is still possibility of his theory that they saw Neanderthals, they saw us, and about 50,000 years ago, they started tampering with our DNA so that we would move faster in our evolution than what we should have moved, than how we should have moved, because they saw the possibility of creating a slave race of people that they can utilize. Because the Anunnaki were just as selfish and jealous and war-torn and egotistical as we are today.
Most importantly, patriarchs.
Yeah, and very patriarchal. And as far as like what the US government is saying, some of it, I'm gonna say, is just technology that other countries and this country has created. Because I've seen some shit in my military service that looked like some Star Trek like stuff. But then,
how long did you serve?
Almost 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
But then there is also, if these civilizations existed, could they have stepped, according to Zecharia Sitchin's storyline, at some point the Anunnaki stepped back, put kings and queens and those who had more Anunnaki blood in them, put them in charge of the human civilization, and they just rule from behind the cloak. And the technology that some of these pilots saw and whatnot could be just them operating, and the government knows about it, but the government don't mess with them because they are actually the ones in charge. So that's a possibility that I won't fully rule out, because I hate to say it this way, the government can't tell us the whole truth, especially in the climate that we live in. Because the climates that we live in, if the government told everybody the whole truth all the time, the world would be in chaos. Because if y'all knew,
it would ruin their system.
Mm-hmm. If humans knew what the threat matrix looked like every damn day, people wouldn't go outside their house. They wouldn't go to work. They stay in the home. They stay in their house.
You said the threat matrix?
Oh yeah. So the threat matrix is a report that is given to the president every day, and it talks about all the different agencies around the world, all the different American agencies put together a threat matrix of situations that are brewing or that are coming up or that are ready to go off that could be detrimental to people being able to live their life, right? The president gets it every day. Then the president and a group of people, his security people, they decide which threats they're going to act on, which seem more credible. And then they act on those. They act on those. Most of the action that's taken on those, people never know, never ever know that that's what's being done. So there's more tragedies avoided than tragedies that happen. And so but if people knew all the things that was on the threat matrix, you would constantly be living in fear. So like when I got out of the Marine Corps in 1999. The whole 9/11 thing had been part of the threat matrix for a decade, but nobody thought that it would be a real threat. Like we didn't see that could possibly happen. So it was kind of ignored. It was put on a lower level, but then it happened. But there were so many other things that were more credible that were stopped because people were sent in to stop the people from doing it. So that's an everyday thing. So the government can't tell you everything. So if there is some previous civilization that's living in Antarctica or living under the water, we can't tell you about that. I mean, I don't know. I ain't had that kind of clearance. But if that does exist, everybody would lose their shit if they found that out. And it would disrupt how we live, the whole world.
To be honest, at this point, if I found something like that out, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I think the shit that they're hiding from us, I have like, there's no limits to my imagination. What could exist in this realm, on this planet, outer space? Like, we have an observable universe. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like all things could be possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look when people talk about mermaids. I don't scratch anything off the list. I really don't.
And you shouldn't, because
I'm not saying that I'm going to go worship a mermaid or put on a mersuit and go seek one, but I don't scratch anything off the list because we haven't even explored most of the ocean.
No, we haven't. And we really stopped exploring the ocean. We only recently started somewhat re-exploring the ocean. You're right. And I wouldn't put it off. I'm not saying that aliens reaching Earth hasn't happened or cannot happen. It's possible. I just think that what Zecharia Sitchin was writing about was civilizations that was already here. But I do think it is possible that another civilization on a whole nother planet can reach us, because there are laws of physics that we don't even know that exist. And they could know that law of physics and utilize that to travel from 400 light years away to Earth in the blink of an eye. And we wouldn't know it. Honestly, I'm glad they haven't, to a certain degree, because we don't know what kind of civilization those are. Right? They could be the one that
obviously more peaceful than our government.
Well, we don't know that. They could be warlike.
If we've gone our whole lives and not experienced any pain from them, and our government based on a group of people that decided to conquer the whole world and unalive her, will kill her, you don't care. You know?
True.
And make slaves. Like, we are the warlike people. We are the violent people. And if they just been sitting there peacefully all this time, not bothering anything, then why would I look at a civilization like that as bad?
Well, you got varying things. We could be not worth the effort. Like, it could be like, okay, we could come and take their shit, but what we'll have to deal with in order to take their stuff, and it's just not worth the effort to do so. Even though to us, Earth has so many riches in them, Earth could be minor to other places. Like, they got some stuff, but it ain't worth that. Like, it ain't economically worth it to go all the way over there to get the little bit of gold that they have, or the little bit of, this or that they have in comparison to what's out there in the universe. When you got what I think is Neptune, where they have storms that what scientists are claiming it's either Neptune or Uranus. It's someplace out in our solar system where it literally is raining diamonds. So I would rather go get those diamonds than come to Earth to try to fight these humans to get their diamonds, because there ain't nobody on that planet. I can just go there and just harvest all that I need and not have to deal with these humans. So you see what I mean?
And
by
then
like,
also diamonds wouldn't have any more value.
well, diamonds don't have value right now. De Beers created that fake bullshit. But you're right. Well, to them, diamonds may not be this precious metal that people put in rings. Like the majority of diamonds in our world are used for things like drilling and laser technology. That's what most diamonds are used for. They're not used for jewelry. So their value, the value of diamonds is really not in jewelry. It's in other technologies. But if I got a whole planet that's raining them, the little bit that we have here on Earth, even though it may be a ton for us, may be, minor. And you see how much easier to be just to go get it where there is nobody, no civilizations to deal with, and just go there and just take what you want. Here, you got to come down. You either got to negotiate some stuff, or you got to fight and kill a whole bunch of people, and some of your people might die. You got to use all this extra equipment. Instead, I can just send a mining crew to Neptune and go get whatever I need. So Earth just may not be worth it. We don't have, I know we want to be special, but we just not that special in the grand scheme of the universe.
Yeah, and that's a hard pill to swallow. I refuse. Like, I feel like somehow this is all something like, and then also we have so much life as a human. There's so much pain and suffering. Like, if I had to do it all again and choose not to ever incarnate here, I probably would choose that,
If you had to choose all over again, you would choose what? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Not to incarnate here. Just not to exist.
Oh, yeah. I'm not coming back. Even if that is the process, this is my last go round. I'm done with y'all. So
it's like, if we're nothing in the grand scheme of things, then why am I forced to do this? I came here unconsensually. Like, it's that's why it's so hard for me to let go of the idea that I'm not special.
No, I get it. And that's what I'm saying is we're special to us. But to the rest of the universe, where life may be even more abundant and much further along, because I think our experience, our known universe is relatively young compared to the rest of the universe. So we're special to us, but to them, we're not special. And there would be millions of them that we're not special. That's what I mean by we're not special. I'm special to me.
Yeah. I mean it that same way too. Yeah. I mean, of course I'm special to me, but like, I want to feel like there was some purpose that I serve, because I can see if we was born into this planet, had just a good time. We didn't have to work until we got old. We all had healthy food plentifully, and we just fucked or something like that. And we didn't care. And, because we're conscious, because we live in a patriarchy, like all of this hard work for nothing. Like, it's just.
Yeah. Which is why we create our own purpose. Like, these religions have tried to determine what our purpose is. And many people can't walk away from these religions because they feel like the religion gives them their purpose. But the beauty of not having a religion is that you get to determine what your purpose is. You get to determine what your value to this life cycle is. And to me, that is a greater joy, because now I know that all of this is based on how I treat myself and how I treat everyone and everything around me. And that gives my life more meaning than what the Bible or the Vedics or any other book could ever give me. Because following the Bible, then my purpose is to be a slave. To be a slave to this God. And then in this so-called afterlife, I'm going to be a slave again to this God. A continuous, a matter of fact, a worse slave to this God. Because at least in this slavery, I have agency. Going into heaven, you don't have any agency according to the Bible. You just worshiping this God all the time, and you don't have any recollection of your family. So that is like horrifying to me. So not believing in it, I have more purpose, I have more value, and more to give.
Maybe eat the pill where you get 17 virgins.
So you got the wrong guy. I do not want 17 virgins. I'd rather have 17 very experienced women than 17 virgins, because I ain't trying to teach nobody. I need you to already have some skills. I need you to already know how to act.
In those cultures, they like youthful, like their prophet married like a 9-year-old.
Yeah. So Muhammad marries a 9-year-old, and then they try to say, oh, but he didn't have sex with her until she was 14. That's still disgusting. But yeah, and then the only way you get the 17 virgins, is it 17? The only way you get whatever the number of virgins that you get, you have to die as a martyr. I'm not dying as a martyr. I'm gonna die as an old man in the bed and just go to sleep one night and not wake up again. I'm not blowing myself up or killing somebody or doing some amazing thing that ends my life prematurely just so I can have 17 virgins. Hell no. That's
wow. I didn't know that caveat. You had to be a martyr. No wonder they committed suicide.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, you have to. You don't just automatically get it because you go there. And then they changed their religion. I think about 10, 15 years ago, they started telling women that if you do it, you will be transformed into a man. This is what one Muslim dude was telling me. So I don't know if this goes through the whole thing. That you'll be transformed into a man, and then you'll get your 17 virgins.
Wow. Just imagine how many lesbian Middle Eastern women are married to men right now, dying to go to heaven and get 17 virgins.
It's probably a bunch of them. It's probably a bunch of lesbian women, but they can't be lesbians because of the country they live in. If you was in Saudi Arabia and you came out and said that you was a lesbian and you participated in it, they would kill you.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have that human right in that country. You know, you can get away with that in America, but you're still gonna be ostracized from that community. Oh, it's 70 virgins. That's even worse.
70?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
That's even worse. I don't want no damn 70 virgins. I gotta train 70 women. Hell no. No.
It's wild. All these religions, man, it's a psychological warfare.
Yep, it is. That's all it is. It's all about control. And even from the beginning of the Canaanite creation of El and Asherah, it was about control, right? And even El controlled Asherah, and then they got rid of Asherah. So it is just crazy. Oh, my wife said it's 72 virgins.
72?
Yeah.
The number just keep rising.
I know, and I trust her more than I trust Dwayne, who wrote 70. I trust her more, but she said it's 72. All right, hell no. I wouldn't even want 72 women on earth. The hell I'm gonna do with 72 in any other place? 3, I'm good. My max.
Right, max out at 3.
I max out at 3.
See how you could please, like, those might be some frustrated virgins.
Me?
And, maybe
hell no.
You get unlimited stamina in heaven.
That might be. That might be. What's he? I can handle 3. And then our lifestyle gonna be amazing because we ain't gonna have no financial problems. If there were kids involved, we ain't gonna have no home problems. 3 is gonna be great. Everybody gonna be happy. And the thing about it,
I think they can handle 3, and a lot of men can't even handle 1 woman.
No, it depends on so it depends on what, like, when it comes to sex drive, it depends on what those 3 women's sex drives are, because they're probably not all going to have the same sex drive, right? So like, I was married to a woman, she get it once a week, she good for the whole week,
But you know about the OGAP, right? Have you heard of that concept?
The OGAP?
Yeah.
What is that?
Men actually get an O 80% of the time. Women actually get an O 20% of the time.
You can just say the word.
Oh, sorry.
And this is going to sound arrogant. Okay? It's going to sound arrogant, but let me preface it by saying this. When I was 14, my favorite cousin taught me And she said, don't focus on yourself, focus on her, and you'll please her. And the best situation is when you're focused on her and she's focused on you, then both of you are pleased. So at 14, this is my favorite cousin. I took that as gospel. And my whole sexual life has been that way. I never have, since that time frame, I've never focused on me. I always focus on a woman, find out what makes her, have an orgasm and stick to that. And as she changes, I'll change with that and identify it. And every woman, and she also taught me that every woman is different. So whatever you did with this woman, it may not work with this other woman. So you got to figure out what gets her there. So because my cousin taught me that, I've never had that issue because that's where my focus has always been. Right. So if any woman talk trash about me, that's one thing that she's not going to say, that part was off. So if I did have 3 wives, I would understand what each one of them sex drive is, what gets each one of them to the orgasm, and make sure that they get there. Right. Now, then the biggest problem, though, is going to be the emotional part. I got to figure out how each one of them feels love. And, well, if I can't perform whatever she needs in order to feel love, then I just won't be with her. That woman just can't be part of the group. But she has to be within my realm of ability to connect with her emotionally so that she feels love as well. And then I got to make sure I do it for each one of them. Like one of my friends who is in a polygamous relationship, a small example, one loves flowers, the other one doesn't. So he gives flowers to the one who loves flowers. He takes nature walks with the one who likes the nature walks. So he has to be what each woman desires. And then he also made sure the 2 women are friends with each other. Because one of the conversations that we had before he did it is that make sure that she can supplant herself in the emotional parts that you can't do it. Because that's what, well, I ain't gonna go that deep into it because that's their personal stuff. But you got to make sure that the women in the areas of emotional support that he can't provide or he lacks in, the other woman is there for that aspect of it. So you support her emotionally in this area that he sucks at. So it's a lot of thought process that goes into it.
I have a question. I can't go. I'm not going to argue with the OGAP part because most men are way too overly confident in that.
Yeah, most men suck at it. Most men suck at it.
And so in this polygamy scenario, is the man paying for everything? Are they doing it like the Muslims and the women are there, because they're getting something out of the deal, or is it they all pitch in?
They all pitch in. Everybody's 100. Yeah, we're not living in 1950. Everybody's 100. That whole idea that, the man pays for everything and the woman sits back. Now, even in the 90s when I was in Saudi Arabia and Dubai and all these other Arab countries where the first time I was seeing polygamy, the rich guys, yeah, their wives didn't do shit but be a wife. The more middle class Muslims, no, their wives work too. And everybody was facilitating the household financially and facilitating the household as far as the running of the house. Now, there were some instances where you got an older husband. He's like 50. And, to me, he was an old ass man. But he's 50. His wife is like 40. His first wife is 40. And then he got like a 20-something-year-old wife.
Part of their religion in the Quran, like their Quran, like I used to listen to it in English. Like it's man's job is to provide for his woman, buy her clothes every 6 months.
Yeah, he's supposed to.
All those things.
He's supposed to, according to the Quran. But the reality of how they were living was not like that.
So what do the women benefit out of this then?
Well, I mean, for them, the women did have more financial security than if they were by themselves or just with one dude, because you got 3 checks or 4 checks coming into the household. The woman didn't have to deal with every aspect of the children's lives. because they had shared responsibilities.
But
with
this
that.
is the thing, though. When you bring a man, that's the only way you're gonna have children in the house. Like, you don't have to have children. You could kick the man out, and the woman can do all of this by themselves. Like, what is the benefit of the man being there?
Well, that's today's world. Today's world. As soon as you go past 1970, the world is totally different. Prior to 1970, you as a woman couldn't get a bank account without a man's signature on that bank account. Prior to 1970, it was legal for you and I to have the same job, but they can pay me twice as much as they pay you. So, and then when you go even further back to an agrarian society, the men went out and handled the big field and the big animals, and the women stayed back and mind the smaller animals and the smaller gardens in or around the house, or they knitted and made stuff and sold it to market.
Women have independence. That's the difference.
Yeah, today women can make just as much as a man. So financially, a woman doesn't have to have a man.
Bank accounts.
Yeah, a woman doesn't need a man as financially as they did back in the day. Now,
so in today's age, how is polygamy beneficial to the women? How is having a man in a relationship with you and your, I guess, sister, Rottweiler, whatever? Why is the man there? What is the benefit of having the man there?
Really, the benefit of a man is protection and connection. That's what it should be. Let me put it like that. It should be protection and connection. And it should be a form of leadership, because everybody has their own form of leadership within a relationship. But it should be a form of leadership that from a more logical standpoint than an emotional standpoint. But everybody leads in their own way at their own time frame.
You're basically telling me the point of a man being in the relationship is to soothe the man's ego. Because quite frankly, women don't need protection like that. Like, we got law enforcement, we got guns, a lot of us do martial arts. Like, when I'm in my house all by myself, like, I don't feel any layer of danger. I've never been robbed all by myself. Like, once I was with this guy, they wanted to rob the guy, not me. And like I don't see how I need this protection. I don't see how I need somebody to tell me what to do, because I'm up in my big girl ages. I've survived all this time, and it's been. I'm confident in myself that I can lead myself from day to day and take care of things and take care of responsibilities all by myself. So, and I mean, connection. I mean, if you want, a man is not the only thing that you can get connection from. You can get connection from friends, family, Yeah. So I don't, don't make it offer us something that we can tangibly do ourselves. Like, we absolutely could not get. Make it, because I'm not even against it. Like, if something's beneficial to me, I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm open-minded like that. But what am I getting?
Okay, so
don't say no, B.
No, I mean, no, I don't say that. But because a woman can strap one on. But there is a different emotional connection that a woman and a man, this goes for men and women. And when I say connection, it's for both. This is why men need women too. The emotional connection that you have romantically with a man is different than the emotional connection that you have with a man who is not romantically inclined towards you. That's a different type of connection that hits a different level of emotions that we have. Now, a woman can get a intimate romantic connection with another woman as well, but there is an imbalance. The reason why the divorce rate is higher within women on women, because it's too much damn emotion, right? So there's no balance within the emotional connection, and it's too damn emotional. So all relationships have to have a certain balance of masculine and feminine energy, right? So that is one of the reasons why you would want to have a connection with a man over your brother, your cousin, your father, your friends, and even a romantic relationship with a woman, is to have that balance. Now, as far as the protection part, yeah, a lot of things, and most people are going to live their lives without having to deal with serious protection issues. But there are those instances, and there is the possibility, because yes, you taking martial arts, that's great. But men are physically stronger than women. If I punch you in your jaw, you most likely is out for the count.
But most men aren't going to do that because they know they're going to go to jail.
Well, see, that's different. Most men, and that's why I say most time you're not going to experience a need for protection at that level. But let me give you an instance where we were traveling to North Carolina. I was riding my motorcycle. My wife was driving the car. She got a flat tire, right? The flat tire just so happened to be in a spot between Atlanta and Augusta where you don't have a phone signal, so you ain't calling AAA. And one of the bolts on that tire, there ain't no way in hell she would have ever got that bolt off. I struggled with that damn bolt for about 30 minutes for one damn bolt.
No, they have AAA, like legit.
You just missed the first part that I said. We happened to be in a spot where we had no signal whatsoever, because I had coverage for the car for AAA. Well, my insurance had it wasn't AAA, but I had roadside service. But we didn't have a signal. There was no roadside service that you call in, and we was in one of those parts where the next exit is like 5 miles away. So it was in a desolate area. She would have been stuck like Chuck. And you hoping that a good person pull over would have been the only hope that she would have had. And we was out in the middle of the country now. If you had 3-4 good old boys pulled up on her, she probably wouldn't have survived. You see what I'm saying about the danger of that? Now, them good old boys wouldn't have pulled up because they would have saw me standing there. So no good old boys pulled up. So that is those types of situations that the protection comes in, because there is that possibility. Thankfully, it doesn't happen. Most people go their entire lives without having the need of that type of protection. And that's a good thing that you won't. But as we travel backwards in time, though, that level of protection was actually more needed. And sadly, it was more needed from people in your community, more so than people outside of your community. So there is purpose for it.
So, what you say?
There is purpose for it beyond just procreation.
So you need a man. So 3 women need a man because there's one situation that just might happen in her life that she might actually need a man, and that man might happen to be there with her that day.
Well, not
so
just
I should go all my life be thinking like that, the worst, because it could have been normal, decent person pulled over and helped me. It could have been another woman, and we could have took it off together. Who knows?
No, y'all ain't taking that.
Just in case, like you see how it wouldn't make sense to get with someone into a relationship like that.
You're focusing on just the protection part. The main thing is the level of emotional connection that you can only have romantically with a mate that's not out of balance. Now,
keyword mate.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Out of balance, though. The reason why the lesbian divorce rate is so high, is higher than anybody else's, is because the emotional balance is out of whack.
But women initiate divorce most of the time. Like men, They don't divorce. They just go cheat or do whatever they want to do and stay in the marriage. Mm-hmm. So if it's 2 women in the marriage, then the divorce rate is going to be higher, because women don't stay when they're not happy. Men do. They'll just go do whatever else they want to do and keep the marriage.
Yeah, they will.
So now you got 2 people that's not about to do that. They rather find someone that makes them happy. So naturally, the divorce rate will go up.
Yeah. Now I'm with you in the fact that now that man. So since we moved from marriages being a situation of, so marriage used to be just a legal contract of family growth and within a community. The marriage being romanticized is actually fairly new, as far as it being the general thing, right? but we are like children. Both men and women are like children in how to develop a strong emotional relationship with our partners, right? And that connects. So we're fumbling around in the dark most of the time, most people, because we're not taught how to have a good relationship. When I look at my grandparents came from a situation, you know, my grandfather being born in like the 20s and 30s, somewhere around in there. They grew up in a time frame where you got married. There was no law against a man hitting his wife. Men were super dominant. The society pushed that. And then my mother, she grew up being around that relationship, but things started moving towards more equality. And so I was in the transitional, I grew up in the transitional phase of women having just as many opportunities and rights as a man. And so we had to start learning a different way to have a relationship. But unfortunately, most people don't learn how to have a good, solid relationship. They're not taught that because their family didn't know how to have a good, solid relationship. So we are probably
to not have a good, solid relationship, not because we're not taught, because the only way to create that nuclear family was to oppress women and take all of their rights away.
Right.
Because naturally we are communal. I don't think we are so much supposed to have like a nuclear family and everybody have their own little set of kids. And, you know, I don't see that. Like, and maybe if thousands of years of oppressing women, you know, maybe because I was reading that men are actually growing shorter and less testosterone. Like maybe not all that's needed. Maybe that men evolved to be stronger than women. You ever thought about that?
No, men did evolve to be stronger than women. I mean, in most species on the planet, the male species is generally, except insects are the ones that where it's opposite most of the time. But in most mammals and reptiles, the male version is generally stronger than a woman. It's just been developed that way. I mean, my center of gravity is in my chest, where a woman's center of gravity is in her hips. That's so that we can, so that men are stronger, so we can protect and we can hunt and we can work. Women are stronger, their center of gravity is in their hips, so that they can birth out children. So that's just been a part of evolution to procreate, right?
Or could it be patriarchy affecting evolution?
No, the patriarchy came about because of the evolution. Yeah. Because the man back in the day, the man was the stronger one, so the man could dominate the woman physically. And that's what creates the patriarchy. So yes, so you actually are agreeing to my point that it's because of the dominance that man took over women because of strength level that has subjugated women all the way up until the end of the 20th century, before our civilization evolved into a position where that is no longer a requirement or a need. And so now most people don't know how to function in this new paradigm where your physical strength doesn't matter. So your patriarchy doesn't matter anymore. And we're in that transition phase of diminishing the patriarchy. And that's creating a whole lot of friction between men and women. Because I'm only 54, and I still remember all the patriarchy that was going on in every relationship that I saw growing up. So I had to make my own mental change to not be like those that I grew up around. But most people don't do that. They just, well, this is what my granddaddy did. This is what my mama did. My daddy did. And so they just keep repeating the same bullshit instead of realizing the change. So as patriarchy dies out, I think people will be able to have better relationships because it won't be dominated by
consensual relationships.
Yeah. And so I agree with you. That's why it's so damn hard, because any transitional phase is going to be rough, and there's going to be a lot of disagreement and fighting and people trying to force people to move in one direction or the other. So it is hard.
So what's the overall end goal? Because most men can't have 3 women. Women don't. I mean, women live longer than men, so sometimes it seems like there's more women than men. But a lot of those women, that's the extra women, are old women. You know.
Yeah.
Every man's not going to have 2, 3 women.
No, they're not. And
most. What do you think the world looks like in, say, 500 years?
Oh, 500 years? Well, if we don't kill off everybody. No, actually, if we don't kill off everybody, I think in 500 years, we'll see a more balanced world where people actually are having more meaningful relationships with themselves and with other people. We may or may not, we may see polygamy on both sides of the fence more as a common thing, because there are women who have 2 husbands. So I think we'll see that more of a balanced type of situation. But I think families will do better in general. We're still going to have rich and poor. We're still going to have war and that sort of thing. But I think the average household lifestyle will be more balanced, and people will be more connected to who they are and their emotions, and be able to understand and handle those things in the next 500 years.
So I'm going to ask you a question, but it's going to lead to another question.
Okay.
So I don't want you to go into a long spiel, because it's going to be cute. Trust me.
All right.
So if I'm in, say, the grocery store,
mm-hmm.
and a man approaches me and he wants my number, and I say, no, I have a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he'll care?
Do I think the man would care or the boyfriend would care?
That I have a boyfriend. Do you think the man will care that I have a boyfriend? Yeah, it's, morally doesn't want my number anymore.
I think you got about a 70% chance that he won't care and still want your number. And then you got about a 30% chance that he will care and respect that and go on about his business.
Okay. If you're in the grocery store and a woman wants your number, and you tell that woman you have a girlfriend, what's the odds you think the woman's going to care if you have a girlfriend and still want your number?
50-50.
50-50. Yeah, right.
No,
are you being honest?
No, I'm being dead honest. Dead ass.
Okay, well, I'll move forward with that.
And this has happened to me quite a few times.
Okay. All right. So a woman's 50-50 chance, you probably not going to want to go pursue a man that has a girlfriend. Right. And a man will, 30-70, most of the time he will choose to go ahead and proceed with a woman mm-hmm. that has a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in terms of polygamy, when we think of, it's tough to live, so much financial responsibility, men a lot of times is interested in this lifestyle. They tend to think, oh, well, I'll get more women and we can all put our money together, right?
Mm-hmm.
But 50-50 of the time, women ain't going to be for that. I agree there's going to be a lot less women that's going to be for you having a girlfriend and she just being okay with it.
Yeah.
But most likely, men...
Oh, snap. Damn it. My phone died. I didn't even see that. What? This charger sucks. My phone died. Damn. And she wouldn't know how to find me on YouTube and Facebook. Oh, shit. It's been 3 hours and 18 minutes. I didn't realize her and I were talking that long. But as you guys know, I have a relationship channel. So that was good. Maybe I need to start doing lives on my relationship channel. So we got way off the subject matter. But and if she ever watches this, my phone literally died. So I'm not making shit up. It died. I have to remember she was God is Divine. I have to remember that name so I can send her a message to apologize for my phone dying. This some bullshit. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get it. Me and my wife are talking about the fact that we need to get some additional superchargers because TikTok use a lot of your battery. I know we got way off the subject matter, but it's okay. I like that conversation. And I was seeing what some of you guys were saying, and so don't think I was ignoring you. And nobody else came up to want to talk to me, so that's another reason why we kept talking, because nobody else wanted to talk. Let's see. I saw Lisa Flames talking about parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis cannot happen within mammals. So that whole thought process of parthenogenesis doesn't make it doesn't work. Because it can't happen in mammals. Somebody, you've heard somebody talking about it, made a good case for it, but they leave out the part that says that it cannot happen in mammals. And we are mammals. So parthenogenesis is not an explanation for getting rid of patriarchy or the world was once all female and all that other nonsense. And when the sperm hits the egg, regardless of the fact that it doesn't show any male penises and stuff from when it's initially just like a zygote, doesn't mean that it's female. If it's a male sperm, it's an XY sperm, it's gonna be a dude, no matter what. It's gonna be a male, right? Yeah, I agree with you, Prince. It was cool. She wasn't the super overbearing feminist or anything like that, but just having a decent conversation, asking questions and making statements. But now my optimism is what makes me say in 500 years, we'll have balance. We should. There is the strong possibility that these humans will mess it up. But I won't be here to know. So 500 years from now, however these videos are still out there on the internet, somebody let us know how we're doing. Let us know. But I don't think, when it comes to polygamy, it is something that and this is more politically based and economically based. I think that the groups of people who are being oppressed in a country, that polygamy is a better option for them financially, because it will allow for a sharp increase in the financial power of the oppressed group. Because there are so many people out there, like when I look at my home city of Atlanta, when people look at Atlanta and say, oh, Black people thrive and Black people doing great things in Atlanta, this is true. There is a section of Black people who are doing great things. But when you look at the 16% of people who are living impoverished in Atlanta, 92% of that 16% are Black people. And the majority of that 92% are single mothers who are living below the poverty line in Atlanta. So if you take 3 broke ass impoverished people and put them together in one household, you got you a middle class family. Like the average income, I think, is somewhere around 54,000, but the average income for a Black person is closer to like 40 something. So the average Black person is not making 50s and 60 and $70,000 a year or $100,000 a year. The average is making somewhere around 48, 45. But if you put 3 45s together, right? What is that? 3 45s together is 170. You can buy the house. You can put the kids in college. You can give them a greater opportunity to not be a part of that 45, 48. So I think for a downtrodden community, an oppressed community, it would be a better situation. Now, the problem is, where's the emotional maturity at? They have to have emotional maturity in order to make this work. You gotta have some finance. You gotta know some shit about finances. right? In order to make it work. So you need that to make it work, which is what's going to make it very difficult for it to be successful. But even if 10%, 20% of the impoverished people were to do that, it would make a huge difference in the economic standing of that impoverished group or that oppressed group, because now the children, the next generation, will have a higher growth potential than the previous generation. Because other than that, you're looking at your mom or your dad, they're only making about 40. Y'all are broke as shit. Unless the kids, there's not as much time put into their education. Some of them don't graduate high school. They grow up renting their whole life. The kids get up, they're told, go get a job or go join the military, but most of the time is go get a job. They don't, take that leap. Oh, 135. Thank you, Rupert. I don't know where I got 170, because that's 12 and then 15. And so, yeah, that would be 135. Thank you, Rupert. Appreciate that. I want them to have way more money than they. I was way off, but make 4 people get 4 checks in that end. How about that? But yeah, it's at least the children will have a better opportunity, or given the chance of a better opportunity. You got more people in the household, so more time can be taken to help the children with their education. My mom worked 2.5 jobs for the majority of my life. I didn't have that parent helping me with homework. I had to do all that. I had to do it all on my own. But there was a significant difference when my kids' mom could be there for them at home when they were able to, and do all the homework and the projects and go talk to the teachers and show up and help at the schools and all that sort of thing. All that stuff makes a huge difference because my children are doing way better than I was doing at the same age that they're at now. And it's because they had a stronger foundation to stand on. Right. Right. Latchkey kids. Yeah, I remember living in the hood, going to school and walking back home, and mama still ain't there. And me and my brother and sister was wilding out with our supervision was the community, and you can get your ass whooped by everybody, but we don't live in that world anymore. So things are different. But yeah, it's almost 3:00. Got some studying to do. Got some more videos to make. So please check out the rest of my videos. Subscribe, share them, comment on them, all that other happy nonsense. I know we started out talking about that subject matter the last hour or so. We diverged off of it, but I still enjoyed our conversation today. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. But that's just how we do it, right? We can never stay on task. So y'all have a great day. I'll see you guys live again on Tuesday. We'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Ain't nothing, nothing is interrupting next week, as far as I know right now. So I'll see you guys live then. They can't find it's my name. See how my name is spelled right there? It's Lorenzo Reed 369. So let me put it on here. And it's the same on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok. Lorenzo Reed 369. I didn't come up with a clever name for that one. Yeah, so. All right, so y'all have a great day. And always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And let me go put this phone on the stronger charger. And it